tonight it is Mike Scott, who at that time was still a member of the New York Met organization, but has come on to record one of the finest years that a pitcher has turned in either league in some time. Dykstra will bat left-handed, .295, and Walling tightens up at third base. He moves in expecting Dykstra might be bunting here early. Scott winds. First pitch bunted down the first baseline. Fielded by Davis. He'll tag Dykstra out.
Any way to get something started, Brent, and that's what he did. He just bunted it right down the line, and he had enough overspin on that AstroTurf to make the ball get really quickly to Glenn Davis, who fielded it, stayed his position so that he could not run in or out of the baseline. If he ran anywhere around it, he was out of the baseline. Easy tag play.
Johnny Scott hoping to keep Dykstra and Wally Backman off base when Keith Hernandez, Gary Carter, and Darryl Strawberry come to the plate, and he was successful against Dykstra. Now he looks in at Backman, one of the peskier hitters in this Met lineup, an overachiever. One of those guys who shows up on a championship team and will do the little things. Like Dykstra, batting left-handed, hitting .320 on the season. That crouch, bat held low, slaps one to short. Reynolds back on a big hop, throw across, and it's high. Pulls Davis off the bag, and Backman is on the throwing air. The Mets have a base runner here on the air by Reynolds.
Well, that's the way they have to do it, and that's an AstroTurf hop. And it had to back up, and he had to take the hop because he couldn't get the short hop in between, moving to his right. And, of course, the rush to throw, Backman rushing down the line. Really didn't have much of a chance even with a good throw.
Backman this season stole 13 bases. Now, compare that with Dykstra, who swiped 31 for Davey Johnson. And here, as New York Met fans know, is Mr. Clutch, Keith Hernandez. .310 batting average, 83 RBIs, and he also possesses a superb batting eye. He walked 94 times. And he is one of the best fielding first basemen ever seen in the game. Davis will hold Backman on, so there's a big hole on that side for the left-handed hitting Hernandez. Scott checks the runner. From the belt, delivers on the outside corner for a called strike.
Well, that's one thing the way Mike Scott wants to do is get ahead of the hitters. That way the forkball becomes that much more effective. The split-fingered fastball, as we use it in vogue today.
He has thrown 3 pitches so far, and all 3 for strikes. Backman leading away. Artificial turf here under the domed roof. He has 1 foot on the carpet. The other, now he goes back as the throw goes over, and he dives in easily ahead of it. So Backman has drawn Scott's first throw over to first base. Davis on the inside of the bag. Left leg in fair territory, and Scott goes over quickly, and Backman has to hurry back this time. A fine move. Timeout is called by Backman. He'll knock some dirt away from his belt. Talked to first base coach Robinson down that line. So the Mets come in here with 108 victories. Johnny, I guess it was your Big Red Machine was the last club to accomplish that.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they would lose their last day of the season.
They still are.
They also won 21 and a half games, had by that many games, and we won by 20. So I was kind of pulling for Pittsburgh to may win one.
1 strike to Hernandez. There goes Backman. Slapped foul into the crowd on the hit and run. So here immediately, Davey Johnson and the Mets try to get something going. Dykstra drops down a bunt. He's out. Backman is on the air, and they put the hit and run on. And it's no balls, 2 strikes on Hernandez.
They have to be aggressive. The good thing about getting ahead is that Keith Hernandez cannot afford to get that deep in the hole. So he had to swing at that pitch, and of course he has his back to the runner. He could not necessarily tell if he was going. The crowd is so loud that you can't hear from the dugout. There he goes. The catcher just has to react every time.
Billy Hatcher in center field shades Hernandez toward left field, trying to cut off that gap. Everything has been a strike so far.
Not so unusual. He strikes out people, over 300 strikeouts this year. And he struck out 10 or more 11 times during the season, Brett.
Here is Gary Carter, the cleanup hitter for the Mets. A .255 average, but 24 home runs. And he drove in 105 runs on the season. He is also known as a big game player. Hit a pair of home runs in an all-star game in Cleveland a few years back. First pitch by Scott. Swung on and missed. There's that split finger pitch, and Gary Carter probably mumbling to himself, why'd I have to arouse this big fellow by accusing him of stuffing it?
Well, he is so good because it's hard to pick up that split finger. You throw it with the same motion, it just comes out of there and just the bottom falls out of it. You have to be aggressive. If he hangs that fork ball or the split finger fastball, then he's right there where you want him. If it goes to fastball, you're still on him.
Throw over to first, and Backman again dives in. Hal Lanier, the Houston manager, was signaling from the dugout. And Walling backs up a couple of steps. Reynolds is deep at shortstop. Jose Cruz deep in left field. And Hatcher plays Carter a step or two toward left. Gary backs out now, and Ashby seizes the timeout to go out and have a word with Mike Scott. What's your appraisal of Alan Ashby as a catcher, Johnny?
Well, he's very smart, very durable, very dependable. Handles the pitcher exceptionally well. He's handled the knuckleballers as well as Nolan Ryan. He's handled that fork ball. I asked him what kind of pitches would it move, how he felt after the game. He said it's a workout. You really have to be so intense behind the plate because the ball moves in so many directions, whether it's cut or not. Wayne Simpson, that pitched for us, did not cut it, and I can tell you the ball moved 4 different directions.
There's 2 out. Backman on at first. The Mets are in a steal situation with Carter up. He's not going. Swung on and missed again. And now Carter wants Doug Harvey to look at the ball. Scott throws it to Ashby, and he makes sure that he throws the ball inside. And Harvey returns it to Scott. Advantage Scott and the Astros.
Threw it right over the top of his head. He lobbed it, but he still threw it right over the top of his head. Whether he was trying to do that intentionally, we'll find out. Gary will battle you tooth and nail, but Mike Scott says, folks, this is the way it's going to be. Boy, what a weapon. In the back of your mind, you're thinking he's going to cut it this time.
No balls, 2 strikes. Backman going. Come on, and missed. Scott strikes out Hernandez and Gary Carter. No runs. There were no hits. 1 net is left on. The Astros are coming to bat.
With us today, 7:38. We have a cloudy 45. KCCI up here.
21-year-old Dwight Goodman. And Dwight Good on the mound for the New York Mets, too. Has a good friend named Goodman back in New York who's played for us. Johnny, they talked about Dwight Gooden's season, and they said that he was not nearly as overpowering as he was the previous year. You have seen him pitch several times this year. Have you noticed any difference?
Early, in the middle, and at the end. Yes, in the middle, I thought he had changed his delivery. And I think in the back of his mind, everybody kind of wanted him to change and not throw so many pitches. That was all they talked about. He's throwing too many pitches for a young arm. Let's cut back. So he changed his delivery to try to get the ground balls in the pop-up. And now he's sort of come back to be the old Dwight Goodman. As you can see, the last month and a half, very effective.
And Billy Hatcher, the center fielder, will lead it off for the Astros. He takes one high and outside. And Gooden throws the ball.
Looks very pumped up tonight. I saw him warming up the bullpen. Looks like he's really forcing it just a little.
Hit in the air down the third base side. Ray Knight drifts over toward the Mets dugout, but is back up on top. He takes one bounce back into the seats, and it'll be a foul ball.
The closeness of the dugouts to the field and the stands keeps the batter up there longer. That pop-up was basically in most parks. He would have been able to catch that a couple of steps in front of the dugout on most particular stadiums. But here the ball lands on top of the dugout, so he's still at bat.
Hatcher hitting .258 on the season for the Astros. He has scored 55 times as a leadoff hitter and stolen 38 bases. Short enough to bunt, and he missed fouling it back into Carter's mitt, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes against Dwight Gooden. Bill Doran and Denny Wally are due up after Hatcher. Hatcher came to the Astros from the Chicago Cubs in that trade for Jerry Mumphrey. Gooden has the sign. Foul back into the crowd. When you have a pitcher who is pumped up and tries to overthrow, Johnny, as an experienced catcher, what will Carter attempt to do with him?
He'll try to slow him down. He'll try to work slower behind the plate. He'll go into his crouch a little bit slower. He'll give the sign a little bit slower, and he'll usually put his hands out and just say, all right, stay back, stay back. Let's not rush things.
Gooden has the sign. Here's the pitch. Foul back into the screen, and Hatcher battling him as the leadoff man.
Well, he's caught in between the fastball and the curveball. He had similar type swings at both pitches. He's kind of in between, protecting the plate, really guarding the plate. Looks like he'd be a great 2-strike hitter.
Defensively, the Mets are straight away against Hatcher, who is a stocky right-handed hitter.
Trying to get him to chase something here.
Here's the pitch. Line into left field. It freezes Wilson. He's got it. One out, and it's Bill Doran. Doran, the Astros second baseman, will bat from the left side against Gooden. He comes in hitting .276 with 92 runs scored and 42 stolen bases, and is one of the unheralded stars of this Western Division championship team. Straight away, deep in the box, slaps one into the seats down the left field line. As a left-handed batter, Doran hit .258 this year. He was .305 right-handed.
He's underrated by a lot of people except by his teammates, who some consider on that ball club that I've talked to as the most valuable player on this team. He or Kevin Bass, and you would think maybe that it's Glenn Davis.
Ray Knight comes in a step or two in front of that line at third base. The pitch is outside, missing, and it's 1 ball and a strike.
Really, over 40 stolen bases. The first time since that's been done since Cedeno. His defense has been impeccable. He's one of the better second basemen at turning the double play.
Pitch by Gooden is up high, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Gooden struggling a bit more than Scott did in his first inning for Houston. But the key thing, he got that leadoff hitter. Breathes a deep sigh. Here's the wind, slapped into left field. Mookie Wilson will have to come fast, and he's got it. 2 up and 2 putouts by the Met left fielder. Defensively in that outfield tonight, Mookie Wilson is playing left field against the right-handed pitcher. Kevin Mitchell would be in there against the left-hander. Lenny Dykstra in center field, and Darryl Strawberry over in right.
You know, sometimes we get so obsessed with seeing Dwight Gooden strike out people, be overpowering, see that great curveball snap off at the very top and break down around the knees, and sometimes we take it for granted that he should do that every time.
Here's Denny Walling batting left-handed, takes a strike.
What happens? He still gets people out time after time and just rolls along, throws his shutouts, gets his 1 run or 2 runs, and gets his victories.
He allowed less than 3 runs a game. 2.64 was Gooden's earned run average this year. The breaking ball stayed up a little high, and it's 1 ball and a strike. 2 out. We are in the bottom of the first inning. This is game 1 of the National League Championship Series. I'm Brent Musburger along with Johnny Bench. The Mets did not score in the top of the first. They left the runner stranded against Scott. He reached on an infield error. Gooden winds. Fastball hit on the ground down the first base line and foul, where it's fielded by Keith Hernandez. And it remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. You ever see so many botched up plays in the infield and what we watched from Fenway Park on television this afternoon?
I tell you, they talk about hard to see in the dome. I saw some balls out there between even the pitcher on a ground ball, a little high hopper between that and the outfielders and losing sight. Looked a little bit like spring training. I guess the nerves were a little edgy, ready to get back to California for some reason.
Red Sox won it 9-2. That evens the American League Series up at a game apiece. Gooden winds, and here's the pitch. Hit in the air toward left field. Wilson again coming on the run. That ties a record.
3-7.
3-7. Mookie Wilson has all the putouts, and we are through 1 inning with no score. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Throughout the season, the Sears Batter Up Sweepstakes contest has been a regular feature in all our Game of the Week broadcast and the All-Star Game. And now I'm happy to announce that the grand prize winners of the Sears Batter Up Sweepstakes and recipients of a trip to the World Series are Elda Thompson from Connellsville, Pennsylvania, Billy Ray Adams of Chaplin, South Carolina, and Lois Dahl of White Bear Lake, Minnesota. They get to go to the National League City. It'll either be New York or Houston. That'll be Saturday the 18th. First 2 games of that series they'll get to see.
Good going. Did you have any of those home runs this summer?
No, I didn't. No.
I believe I had Elda Thompson.
You had Elda Thompson.
Yeah.
I know you did. I checked on that. You always get this.
Mike Scott back out on the mound. He'll look at Darryl Strawberry here to start the second inning for the Mets. The first pitch up high for a ball. December of 1982, the Mets traded Scott to the Houston Astros for outfielder Danny Heath. Heap was on their roster today. Swung on and missed. Little did anybody realize at that time that Scott would blossom into the star that he is today. And a big tip of the hat on Scott's part to San Francisco Giant manager Roger Craig, because he taught Scott that split-fingered fastball.
And Al Rosen, who later in the winter called him and asked him if he would go out there. He spent 10 days with Roger Craig.
Here's the pitch, stays outside, missing toward umpire Harvey. Harvey gave it a good look. Thought about it on the outside corner.
He's working. That's showbiz.
Well, Scott was with the Mets. He was only 14 and 27. A right-hander to the wind. Call strike, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Strawberry taking against Scott.
They didn't argue about him stuffing it up then, did they?
Here's the wind of the pitch. Call strike 3. Strawberry looking.
3 in a row for Mike Scott. Folks, his fastball is humming. You saw Roger Clemens turn it loose last night. That's just the way Mike Scott is doing it tonight. They'll go along with that nasty split finger.
Only 5 pitchers of the National League have ever struck out 300 hitters in a season. One of them is Scott, who accomplished that this year with 306 strikeouts. Sandy Koufax with the Dodgers did it 3 times. J.R. Richard, Steve Carlton, Scott Wines, foul back.
I've heard of those guys. What was the last guy, Carlton?
Yeah, I think you might have been.
Yeah, I saw
Did each one of those pitchers strike you out? Did Mike Scott ever strike you out?
Koufax never did.
Never, no, I'm sure he didn't. Mookie Wilson, with a count of no balls and 1 strike, takes one high and tight. And it goes to 1 ball and 1 strike.
I like the way he's missing tonight. He's missing just in the right areas. He's not missing with that forkball, that split finger. He's throwing the ball on the corners. He's high just out of the strike zone.
Now hard down the third baseline. Photographer moved quickly to get out of the way. What do you think he works for? Let's see, the New York Daily News, maybe the USA
Who did
Today.
he used to work for?
Boy, did he pay out down there, did he?
Well, what happened in the dugout here in the Astros, they're so large that they put photographers in about the last third, which really cramps up your style because you like to hide at the end.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Hold on and missed, and that's 4 strikeouts in a row by Mike Scott. And the last and only pitcher to strike out 4 in a row in a championship series was Milt Wilcox.
I called those.
The catcher then was Johnny Bench with the 1970 Reds.
All right, you hear that, Milt? See, Milt thought he'd never get mentioned again. Here he is right here. Just keep that record. He always wants to keep it. He's out. Well, he grew up in Oklahoma City, as a matter of fact.
Well, Ray Knight is the man who could either give it to Scott or end it right here. Scott looks into Ashby and has the sign. The right-hander winds, and the first pitch foul back into the crowd. The last time I did a baseball game here in the Houston Astrodome, a couple of weeks ago, a fellow by the name of Jim Deshays, a left-hander, went out there.
You did that game? Don't tell me you did that game.
I did that game. Struck out 8 in a row. Dodgers he did that night.
Tommy sent him a pinch hitter.
That's right. The
Larry
pinch hitter popped up to Bill Doran, who told me tonight, I never felt so badly about catching a ball in my life. There's the end of the streak. A little pop into center field. Hatcher comes hard for the putout. He didn't strike him out, but he got the out, and he looks overpowered. We are through an inning and a half. It's the Astros nothing, the Mets nothing. What? Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, and this broadcast is presented by the CBS Radio Network and by authority of Major League Baseball. It may not be reproduced without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. On the mound for the New York Mets as we start the bottom of the second inning, right-hander Dwight Gooden. Gary Carter rifles the ball down to Backman, and due up for Houston, it'll be first baseman Glenn Davis, right fielder Kevin Bass, and left fielder Jose Cruz. Glenn Davis had one of those seasons. 31 home runs, 101 RBIs with a .265 batting average. Big right-handed hitter. Johnny, what do you think of him? Do you like him?
I love him. He's my kind of hitter. I love him. He grunts, he groans. Every time he swings, it looks like his back comes out of place. He likes to watch him, too.
Here's the first pitch from Gooden, and it's high and tight for ball 1.
Don't bother the kid.
Well, Davis likes the ball out over the plate. He likes to extend those arms, and if there is such a thing as a book on him, it's jam him tight with the fastball. Hit high and deep to center field. Dykstra going way back. Way back. Gets out of here. Hits a towering home run, more than 400 feet, and the Astros scored first on the Mets.
Well, Brent, you're here at the right time. You say the right thing at the right time. It's kind of interesting now because Kevin Bass is stalling going to the plate. You know that they're going to wait for all this bull stuff, which is there's a bull up on the board now. Let's don't misunderstand me. The fireworks. They're going to ask Glenn Davis. They're going to clap enough for him to come out like they do in Shea Stadium.
Now, Davis steps out and waves to the crowd the curtain call.
Boy, did he hit that ball. And you talked about him extending his arm. Jerry Carter moved to the outside of the plate. And did he ever launch it? He had about 3 there in batting practice. And somebody got excited and threw one of those toilet paper rolls out there on the field. And they're trying. That's why we're holding up.
Johnny, it is so important, especially for a younger player, to get off to a good start in a championship series. I was thinking about Wally Joyner of the Angels. He struggled the last 2 months, and he started off in Game 1, and he continued it today by hitting a home run in a losing cause. And the one man the Mets needed to stop was Glenn Davis, and he breaks quickly on it.
Great to see the fresh young kids come in and do such a good job. That'll keep the game young.
Now it's Kevin Bass, the right fielder. Gooden's first pitch, a call strike, fastball over the heart of the plate. Bass, another one of those good ones down here in Houston. Batting average at .311. And on the season, Kevin Bass, a switch hitter, hit 58 extra base hits. Veering out from the left side at Gooden. Foul back into the crowd. Third base side of home plate. From the screen, it rolls back down onto the field where one of the bat boys fields it and robs a fan of a souvenir. So it's no balls and 2 strikes.
Another player acquired a trade. In fact, he came over from Milwaukee for Don Sutton.
0-2, and here it is. In high and tight, and Bass has to quickly step back out of the way. Now, it is interesting to watch Gooden come inside on a couple of hitters because in his younger days, that was one of the Met criticisms. They said he threw everything out over the plate and he wouldn't move anybody back. Now, back with a breaking ball, Carter wanted it. Harvey looks down at the third base umpire, didn't swing, and Judge says it wasn't good enough to call it, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. They don't hit many home runs down here in Houston. The Astros, that's their first ever in championship play. Foul ball on the ground. Hernandez snaps it up with a bare hand. Foul territory.
Going into August, Brent, there had been 500 less home runs hit in the Dome than there were in Atlanta and Chicago. Okay? On the road, the Astros had hit more home runs in that period of time than either the Cubs or the Braves had hit on the road. It's amazing what this Dome can do. 500 less home runs during the 80s in this ballpark as compared to Atlanta and Chicago.
2-2 from Gooden's. Outside, it goes full. Johnny, looking at the scoreboard, everything has been hit in the air off Gooden here so far. Mookie Wilson made 3 putouts in left field in the first inning. And Davis took it out of here to deep center field to give Houston a 1-run lead. Bass up with the count full, 3-2. And Gooden shakes off Carter. Here's the pitch. Line drive to right field. It'll go into the corner. Bass takes the turn. Carter up with it, and Kevin Bass has a double.
Well, they didn't intimidate him. Fastball that he threw inside just missed him. I mean, just missed that uniform with that next to the top button. He comes right back, gets him in the hole, spins on him. Hernandez playing off the line a fairly good ways, and he pulls it hard between the bag and Hernandez.
Now it's Jose Cruz with an average of .278, but he has been red hot since the All-Star break. He has batted .325. left-handed hitter, stands erect. Gooden checks the runner. Breaking ball swung on and missed by Cruz. He was going for the long ball with that swing.
He should tie his shoes again. He was trying to pull the ball, first of all, to get the runner over. He's going to chase that fastball. Got a Sadaharu-O type of kick. Raises that leg up, Melot. Raises that leg up, tries to stay back. If you throw him the curveball, he can get that because he stays back so well.
Santana trying to keep Bass close. Here's the pitch by Gooden. Little humpback stride. It's caught in center field by Dykstra. I thought for a moment it was going to fall in. Dykstra held up for half a step. Then he came on to make the put out. Bass could not move. And let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS radio network. Glenn Davis puts Houston ahead with a towering home run to center field. Kevin Bass doubles down the right field line. Jose Cruz flies to Dykstra in shallow center. And Alan Ashby, batting left-handed with an average of 257, is up. Santana continues to work away at Bass. Breaking ball is a strike on Ashby. It's important for Santana to keep Bass on the dirt if he can. With a left-handed hitter, it's much easier for a shortstop to do that. Trying to freeze him at third on a single if they can. Now Bass gets off on the artificial carpet, and a called strike. No balls, 2 strikes on Ashby.
2 good curveballs. Ashby, a dead guess fastball hitter. And he will pull the ball no matter who's throwing or how hard he's throwing because he gets ready for it. And 2 good breaking balls that really froze him in his stance. He could not get that bat started and could not go up, pull the trigger.
Third base coach Dennis Minke watching Bass. Santana backs away. Here's the pitch. Fastball up high and out of the strike zone. A ball and 2 strikes. Ashby steps out for a moment. Now gets back in against Gooden. Astros 1, Mets nothing. Astros with a runner in scoring position. We're in the bottom of the second. Gooden at the belt. Here's the pitch, outside and high, and Carter has to quickly move to make the grab.
Stood up, before he threw the ball back, he sort of held up the hand in the glove saying, take it easy, now stay back, don't get overzealous. I know you want to strike somebody out. You haven't struck anybody out yet. And maybe in the back of his mind, he's thinking he has to.
Checks the sign from Carter, checks Bass. Here's the pitch, a breaking ball, and Carter doesn't get it from Harvey. That time, Johnny, Gary Carter moved and may have interfered with Doug Harvey's vision.
Basically, he's going to stay with him on the level above his shoulders, where he's going to stay at that level. And you're right. If he starts to move, he loses that. And umpires have told me before, sometimes you block me out. But you've got to protect that ball from going through you as well.
3-2. Breaking ball outside, and he's walked Ashby.
That was very strange. He's got the good breaking ball. He's got it over in a situation. But do you not consider that your best pitch that you have to do it? All right? He looks behind him. He sees Craig Reynolds standing behind him. Do you want to get in the hole, throw a fastball to Ashby? Maybe he hits it out. Maybe he hits it hard. Take your chances with the lesser hitting Reynolds and then get to Scott. There you've got 2 sure outs, or you have to think that way. They are not, but you have to feel like Gooden can get them both out.
Only 1 out. The Astros with runners at first and second. Here is shortstop Craig Reynolds. Batting only .249, but he can hurt you. He'll hit from the left side against Gooden.
Really a dangerous hitter. A good clutch hitter. In fact, hit a grand slam. That was one of the big motivational factors for the Astros this year in a tough situation.
Stands erect at the plate. Line drive, foul down the right field line.
Can pull anybody. He's got that trigger on go. And if you throw him off speed, he seems to be like he has the ability to hang and wait back even for that. His average of .249 was shared with Dickie Thon at shortstop, but it was a very good .249 because they felt like he did a great job defensively. Big
hole between Santana and Knight. Santana over behind Bass with a left-handed hitter up. It's no balls, one strike. Astros lead on Davis's home run here in the second inning. Gooden has not struck out anybody. He has walked one. Here's the pitch from the right-hander, and it's outside and high, and now he is battling a control problem with the fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Really overthrowing. We saw it a little bit last night
with Roger Clemens of the Red Sox.
Boston should have taught him something, but at the same time, you still get juiced up. In the back of your mind, you're 21 years old, you feel strong, you know you can do the job, and I believe he can do the job. I mean, if I'm going to have a pitcher out there in a tough situation, you got a pretty good choice of either man tonight.
1 ball, 1 strike. Gooden comes to the belt, checks the runner at second, outside and high again, and it goes to 2 balls and 1 strike.
I think 1 more ball. If he goes to 3-1, I think we'll either see Stottlemyre or Davy Johnson go out to the mound just to calm him down. This inning is 10 balls and 9 strikes. Definitely quite a contrast to what we've seen from Mike Scott.
Hernandez deep behind the runner at first base. There are Astros on at first and second. 1 out, and the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. Carter's sequence. Gooden has it. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, strike right over the middle of the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Johnny, his best pitch this inning has been the breaking ball by 4.
Well, he really has gotten more curveballs over than he has the fastballs, and that's quite a bit of confidence. But he threw it 3-2 against Ashby. He had enough confidence in it to throw it 2-1 against Reynolds. And Reynolds, we saw, pull that fastball so hard in the back of their mind, they're still thinking that they don't want to give in to him.
One thing the Astros don't want here is a double play, and Scott would have to lead off the bottom of the third. Gooden's pitch, hit in the air in the short right field. Strawberry lets it fall in front of him for a base hit. The throw home cut off by Hernandez as Bass has to hold at third. He could not break quickly on the ball because he didn't know if Strawberry would make the catch. The Astros have loaded the bases for Mike Scott.
San Francisco right now, Roger Craig would definitely make you think that there might be a possible squeeze situation. The thing about squeezing on AstroTurf is the possibility of running it hard enough that you get a double play. Scott really a good butter, Brent. 10 sacrifice bunts for him. Out at the mound, they're all meeting together to see what they're going to do. This is a public awareness message from CBS Radio. When people abuse drugs, they can ruin their lives, lose their job, and let a lot of other people down. Take it from me. Don't be a fool. Stay away from drugs.
Bases are loaded. The meeting at the mound is over. And here is Mike Scott against Dwight Gooden. Bass is on at third. Alan Ashby at second. And Craig Reynolds, who singled to right field, is over at first. The Astros with 3 hits this inning. Here's the pitch to Scott. Swung on and missed with the fastball.
Well, he had one thought in his mind, guessed for fastball and hit it hard. He just didn't get it. I don't think he'll ask Doug Harvey to check the ball, though.
Scott, a right-handed batter, steps back in. Batted 128 on the season. Gooden pitching from the stretch in case the bunt is on. Breaking ball down low. And it is a strike. He went too far. No balls and 2 strikes. That time it was first base umpire Lee Wire who signaled down to Harvey. That's
not even got the question out before Lee Wire had already rung him up. Well, different umpires have different levels. Didn't have a lot of control of that bat. The bat really passed center of home plate, out front of home plate, but he had his hands back, and he's trying to argue that was the case.
Bases loaded and 1 out. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed by Scott. And that's the second out. First strikeout by Dwight Gooden. Bases are loaded for the leadoff hitter, Billy Hatcher, who flied out to Mookie Wilson in the previous inning. Davis opened this inning. for Houston with a towering home run. Kevin Bass doubled, and after Jose Cruz flied out to Dykstra in shallow center, Alan Ashby walked, and Craig Reynolds singled to right. Bass held up at third because he thought the ball might be caught by Darryl Strawberry. Down low, Carter blocks it out in front of him. It's ball one. Gary Carter doing a good job to get down on his knees and keep that ball out in front of him.
It's a tough pitch to block, too. He picked it very nicely. The ball is curveball. When it bounces, it actually comes back. It has a reverse way of going. If it's going to your left, it'll hit and bounce to the right. Carter, excellent at blocking pitches behind home plate. Dwight Gooden now overthrowing the curveball.
With 2 out, and Gooden still pitching from the stretch. That ball called strike on the outside corner. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. To escape this mess with only 1 run would be a big plus for the New York Mets. Gooden struggling all inning long. Back at the belt, 1-1. Hitting the air. Foul toward the first base side, going to be out of play. Back into the crowd, Gary Carter gave chase. But as Johnny told you earlier, not much room in foul territory here in the Houston Astrodome. The Houston Oilers play their football games here under the dome, and you can still see the yard markers down on the field. Where Gooden is standing is about the 23-yard line.
Where Davis hit it
in the end zone
is where the people in the end zone sit.
A ball and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch, hit in the air, foul. Keith Hernandez gives chase, and he'll run out of room too. Well, like Roger Clemens last night, Dwight Gooden is being pushed hard here in the second inning, throwing a lot of pitches. Johnny, were you surprised last night that the Red Sox left Clemens in to throw 143 pitches?
Not that much. I'm sure they asked him every inning how he felt, and as you know, he does throw a lot of pitches because of his strikeouts. He's used to throwing a lot of pitches in the ball game, and you might as well keep it there. And you keep thinking your ball club, you're only down 4 runs at the time. You keep thinking your ball club will score 2 or 3, and you're still in the game. John McNamara does not trust that bullpen very much.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Fastball hit on the ground tonight. He'll step on third to retire the side. A huge flush for the New York Mets. They escaped surrendering but 1 run on Glenn Davis's towering home run. There were 3 hits in the inning, and the Astros leave the bases loaded. And after 2 innings of play, it's Houston 1 and the New York Mets nothing, and we'll be back in just a moment. Back in Houston, along with Johnny Bench, I'm Brent Musburger. The Astros lead the Mets 1-0. We're in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. And greetings to all of you across the country who are enjoying this series on CBS Radio, and especially to those of you around the world who are tuning us in on Armed Forces Radio. Mike Scott has struck out 4 Mets in the 2 innings that he has pitched. There has been only 1 Met base runner, and that was Wally Backman in the first inning. He reached on an error by shortstop Craig Reynolds. Rafael Santana, the number 8 hitter, takes strike 1 from Scott. Santana batting .218 on the season, and the Mets with enough hitters, they are able to afford a defensive specialist at shortstop. Scott comes back at him, changes up on speeds that time, and gets strike 2. No balls and 2 strikes. Very few pitchers have ever been as overpowering in one season as Mike Scott has this year. Foul back into the screen. He has made 37 starts for the Astros, and in 27 of those starts, he gave up 2 runs or fewer. And in 7 of those 27 games, he had a no decision because he didn't get many runs behind him.
Right.
He could easily have been a 25-game winner. 0-2 on the way. Line drive. Doran makes a great catch at second base. What a play by Doran. A soft line drive by Rafael Santana towards center field, and Doran, leaving his feet, made a leaping catch, and the replay also gets a huge ovation here in the Dome.
Boy, he got 9.6, 9.8, 9.8, 9.9, and 9.8 by the Russian judge.
That's how good that one was.
He came out of nowhere. In fact, Billy Hatcher is still chasing the ball in center field.
I thought it was true.
What a play. You'll see that one many times, folks.
ESPN will have that all over their highlight shows. Foul ball off Gooden's foot. Oh, it's one strike, one out here in the top of the third. The Astros lead the Mets 1-0, and already we have had excitement galore here in the Dome.
And it is only 1-0. That is what the Mets are saying. It is only 1-0, despite the fact that we've had so many base runners and so many things happening.
Scott winds, swung on and missed by Gooden. And it's 0-2.
You know, in the last 30 starts, Vince, you were talking about the runs that he's yielded. Only one time in the last 30 starts has he given up 3 runs.
Right-hander winds, fouled into the crowd by Gooden. Dwight Gooden's another one of those pitchers who can hurt you with the bat. His average not very good this year at 0.86.
Said he lost his stroke, and I watched him. I said, "You're rapping a little too much." He said, "That's better. That's better."
Scott winds, outside, missing for a ball. The last person you gave a hitting lesson to in a National League Championship Series was the first baseman in St. Louis by the name of Jack Clark.
Lasorda might be listening.
Yeah, that's right. If Tommy hears that, you'd be in trouble. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch, pulled on a miss by Gooden. That is strikeout number 5 by Scott. Now, not only did Mike Scott wrap up the Western Division Championship with a no-hitter against San Francisco right here, but then he went up to San Francisco and he made another move on a no-hitter with 6 hitless innings against the Giants. And here tonight, he's through 2 2/3. Bill Doran robbed Rafael Santana. That's the only time the Mets have come close so far. What a year Scott is having. The wind, the pitch, hit on the ground to Doran. Throw over to Davis, and the Mets are out in order. No runs, no hits. They leave nobody on. We're through 2.5 innings, and the Astros lead the Mets 1-0. Give you an idea of the Scott Gooden pitching matchup so far. In that second inning when he struggled, Dwight Gooden threw 29 pitches. Through 3 innings against the Mets, Mike Scott has thrown a total of 29 pitches. And we didn't know it, our leadoff hitter here, Johnny Bench, is Bill Doran. How many times in baseball, the cliche, the guy makes the great play in the field, and he's the first hitter. He'll get another huge ovation here from the Astrodome crowd. He flied out to left field in the first inning. It'll be Doran, Denny Walling, and the home run kid, Glenn Davis, up here for the Astros against Dwight Gooden. Let's see if Dwight can settle down. In the second inning, he struggled with the fastball. He shook Gary Carter off at one critical point, and Kevin Bass rifled a double on the next pitch. That pitch is up high for a ball. He falls behind. Doran would love to coax him for a walk to lead this inning off. Here's the pitch. He takes again outside the strike zone, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. And at this juncture, you would fully expect a hitter such as Doran to be taking. The Mets, meanwhile, have to be thinking who they want to get up early in case Dwight Gooden is going to continue to struggle. Fastball outside, missing. Gary Carter with a couple of words for Doug Harvey. Like all professionals, he continues to look right out at Dwight Gooden while he's doing his jaw to the umpire. 3-0, inside, call strike, and hit the corner.
Yeah, you can say a little bit as long as you don't turn around. So that was a good pitch, Doug. Gary Carter, 10 consecutive years, 100-game season.
3-1, ground ball foul. So after going 3-0, Gooden comes back and gets the full count on Doran.
Well, that's a sign of a great pitcher, the guy that goes 3-0 and you still don't feel comfortable. You still don't feel like you're going to get the pitch that you want and the pitch that you can handle.
Defensively, the Mets are straight away for Doran. Gooden's pitch. Ground ball. Hernandez Hernandez makes a diving catch, throws to Gooden for the putout, and another fine defensive play. But you have come to expect plays like that from Keith Hernandez.
In your face. He said, I'll show you how to make a defensive play as well.
Mr. Bench, we are going to have some series between these two teams.
Well, we've been talking about it all yesterday and at dinner last night, how well they matched up. People want to know who we predict will be the winner, and no one can come up with a clear-cut winner.
Exactly right. I can't believe that out in Nevada they've made the Mets such a favorite. One out, first pitch to Denny Walling, missing for a ball. I guess because of all the publicity the Mets receive, because they play in New York. Everyone is so familiar with their stars, and Houston tends to be an overlooked team. Ground ball toward Hernandez, scoops it up, Gooden covers again, and he throws to him for the putout.
Well, that's absolutely right. I think everybody took them lightly. They were a team picked to finish 5th or 6th. No one really gave them an opportunity chance to win this division. They looked at the Dodgers, they looked at the Reds, then when Guerrero went down, everybody just sort of expected the Reds to vie for the top contender or win this crown, but no. And a young man has led them. Man who self-taught himself in the minor leagues and then followed Whitey Herzog and some of his tutorage to come down here with Dick Wagner and Don McMullen, and he's respected. The players have said, our leader, he's Hal Lanier.
And Lanier's big fella's up. Glenn Davis. Ground ball. Great play by Knight at third base. He comes up and throws him out. We have had one spectacular moment after another. We are through 3. We're just beginning this series. Astros 1 and the Mets nothing. We go to the top of the 4th inning. So far in this game, we have had one pitcher strike out 5 hitters. We have had 3 spectacular defensive plays. We have had a massive home run. I'm going to go get something in my throat. Take over here, Johnny.
San Diego, Jerry Coleman and his crew, and they work for CBS Radio from time to time. They hang a star out when they have great plays. Oh, we got stars all along the ledge here.
There's no more room out there.
3 outstanding plays.
Doug Harvey is waiting for the go-ahead from television to start the game. The Vice President of the United States, George Bush, is being interviewed over here in the ABC TV booth, so the game is being held up.
Well, they got the light on over there so they can take it, and now they're going to turn it off. But Doug Harvey, Doug, I know you're one of the top umpires. You've been around for a long time, but he is the Vice President. Let me say that. You are the Vice President. Well, now, first of all,
did you see that opening pitch he threw out? He bounced it 3 feet in front of home plate. You didn't see that.
You want me to go tell him that you were talking about it?
I'll warm him up. Leadoff hitter for the Mets is Wally Backman. He'll start it off against Scott, who has been spectacular, Johnny.
He has been far from the kind of pitcher that anybody would want to hit against tonight. 5 strikeouts of the first 9 outs. He has just been overpowering. He's used the fastball. He's used the split-finger fastball. He's made pitches where he wanted to. He's got the good control. He's got everything, and he also has defense behind him. Fly ball to left field. Ooh! Which is the favorite way to go about it. Here in the Astrodome, Jose takes a couple of steps in, makes the easy catch, and they got one down in the inning. Keith Hernandez, back-to-back assists to help end the inning. The first 2 outs, the ball hit hard by Billy Doran. He dove and stole a base hit away from him, as did Billy Doran from Rafael Santana. Hernandez, a strikeout victim, the first strikeout victim of the game for Mike Scott.
And that's rare, Johnny, for Hernandez. He struck out only 31 times in 645 plate appearances.
That's an amazing statistic. Good line drive hitter, and one that Scott respects, saying he probably is the toughest hitter on the team for him to get out. He throws high for a ball. Dave Smith had his top 5 he rated, and Hernandez was his 3rd toughest. Didn't like Jack Clark. That was his leadoff, neither does Niedenfield. Scott works again. A ball hit into right field on a line. Kevin Bass has to go well over to his right to pick it up on a couple of hops. Back in the door, and there's the first hit of the game for the New York Mets.
And Hernandez does it, and well, he should. He's a lifetime .377 batter against Scott. He is 21 for 55. He has 6 home runs and 14 RBIs. You were just saying that Scott respects him as the best hitter on the Met team.
Well, he is a contact hitter. He is so quick with those hands. And Scott, after striking out the first 5, gets a ground ball and then a fly ball. A base hit now with 1 out brings Gary Carter to the plate. Carter, 24 home runs, 105 RBIs, dislocated his thumb while playing first base. We were there that day. Scott's going to work from the stretch. Two-finger fastball has Gary shaking his head as Ashby catches it, and Harvey calls it a strike. The outfield deep, especially in center field. Bass straight away. Cruz, I would say medium deep. The infield at double play depth. Hernandez not much of a threat to steal, and Scott works again and fouled back.
Johnny, that pitch did not move much. It was right in the heart of the strike zone, and that was one that Gary Carter normally handles. It was right down the power alley, and he didn't get around on it.
Well, Mike Scott got the new baseball and looked like he scuffed it a little bit more that time to try to get that ball to move. I'm sure that's in the back of his mind. Now you have to think of the good high fastball, the scuff ball, or the split finger fastball. Scott works the home plate. Split finger down and in, ball. He got him with that the first time up when he struck him out. He had 4 strikeouts in a row. Carter, the second one, to end the first inning. Scott normally wears glasses. Pitches using contact. Looks in. Has the sign. Stretches. Took him out.
Great split finger pitch. It was in the strike zone, and then the bottom fell out.
And the crowd, especially enjoying it here, and you're so close, and the dugout's so low that you're seeing it. And boy, did that ball go down and in. You're right, Brent. And they're holding up K's behind the Mets dugout. Darryl Strawberry, he's a strikeout victim as well, stands in. Waves that bat. Ashby moves to the outside part of the plate, and he misses with a split finger.
Johnny, the split finger for Scott, when it's in the strike zone and the bottom falls out, it winds up below the back knee. If it starts out about knee high and gets down, the umpires won't give it to him, and the hitters won't swing at it. Now, that time the Strawberry was down just a little bit low.
So hard to lay off of. This one grounded towards Doran. Doran moves over and flips it to Reynolds. Reynolds tags the bag, and that's it for the inning. The New York Mets were able to get a hit. That was Keith Hernandez. They only left the one. There were no errors, and they did not score. So after the end of 3.5 innings of play, it's the Astros 1 and the Mets nothing.
A public awareness message from CBS Radio. Love, guidance, and support. That's the prescription for prevention. A strong family helps kids resist drugs. Try a little prevention today.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Something to pay attention to, folks. And the Mets are now paying attention to the Houston Astros. They trail 1-0 on a gigantic home run by Glenn Davis in the second inning as he led off the inning, taking a Dwight Gooden fastball out over the plate. Straight away almost, just to the left of the 400-foot sign. Kevin Bass had a double in that inning. He leads off the inning. He'll be followed by Jose Cruz and Alan Ashby. Gooden works. The big kick. Curveball down. Ball 1. It's been raining here in Houston over the last 4 or 5 days. Raining up in Oklahoma. We hope the people up there, my good friends and compatriots of the state, are doing well and hopefully listening. Fastball missed outside by Gooden. They've really had it rough up there, and well, the best out to you, and hope everything works out well. 2 balls and no strikes on number 17, Kevin Bass. What a player he has been for the Astros this year. 10 home runs, 72 RBIs, 22 stolen bases, and Gooden fires a strike on the inside corner. Kevin led the Astros with a .311 average, really. Walling .312, but Walling did not qualify because of the number of at-bats. Gooden works quickly again. This one hit on the ground right at Hernandez. He started to take a step back, took the short hop. Was an in-betweener and goes to the bag unassisted and makes the play.
That's why Hernandez will probably win a 9th straight Gold Glove over there at first base.
few to compare with him. Davis has done well over there. Danny Dreesen played for the Reds, was outstanding. I tell you, there are some great glove men over in the American League. Wow. I've seen some good ones. Mattingly, Upshaw. Well, there's several of them. O'Brien do a good job. Cruz stands in. Jose flew out to center field as Baxter came in and made the play.
Johnny, the Mets have to feel awfully good about trailing by only one run. Gooden continues to struggle, falling behind the hitters. That was a breaking ball out of the strike zone for ball one.
This one hit in the left field. It's on a line. One hop right at Mookie Wilson. Base hit Cruz, and they'll do a cruise for you. Let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network. You talk about an arrogance, and I call it inner conceit. I think if you believe in yourself and know you can handle any situation, you can believe that you can come back from 1-0 deficit. That's what both clubs have to have. The Mets have been accused of it, but that's New York. Just a little more low-key down here. Alan Ashby stands in. He walked against Gooden his first time up. This one hit into right field for a base hit. Will Cruz try to go to third? No, Dennis Minke holds him up. Strawberry up quickly, firing it back into Santana, and a first ball hitter we talked about, Ashby, hit it on a line right over second base. It was a low fastball.
Gary Carter goes out to the mound, and Keith Hernandez comes over from first. Hernandez turns around and goes back. Davey Johnson must think at this juncture of the game about at least getting somebody ready down there in case it caves in here on Gooden.
Well, it has to be on the back of his mind. This is the second inning that he's got in trouble. And now's the time for you to enjoy an Arby's All-Star Roast Beef Sandwich. Made with America's favorite roast beef. Arby's, an official sponsor of Major League Baseball.
I don't want a sandwich now. It's after they're out. Then you can go get me an Arby's.
Yeah, don't leave right now, folks. No.
Right.
Unless you're in the car.
Yeah,
now, they have drive-throughs, so don't be walking in.
Drive-through?
Sure, we have drive-through at Arby's. Well, they may not in downtown Manhattan. Here's Craig Reynolds. Reynolds had a base hit his first time up. Fouls it back up over the screen. Now to play. Yeah, your limousine usually won't stop.
Limousine. You haven't been reading the newspapers lately, huh?
Yeah, I saw that they were up 5%. In fact, it was up $3 on the stock market about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Is that right? Another meal for the big boy.
Good.
I'm glad you took the stock options. 1-0 here. 5 hits for the Astros, only 1 for the New York Mets. But the Astros have only been able to get 1 run, that being the home run. Then at first and second now, there's 1 out. Reynolds waits. Here's Gooden dealing as Luke over third base. That'll let foul. That'll just land just outside of third base. Hit right off the hands, and it was a dying quail over there, but it went just out of play.
Johnny, the Astros are not swinging and missing any of Gooden's pitches. They are making contact here in his 4th inning. He has only 1 strikeout, and that was the pitcher. Mike Scott went down swinging in the 2nd inning.
That's the type of hitters they are, Brent. They've really been kind of designed and streamlined for this type of ballpark, and most of these guys are contact. Most of them are not free swingers. Cruz will free swing until he gets 2 strikes. Ashby will shorten up. Glenn Davis, of course, with that long stride and stroke that he has, he would be the biggest strikeout victim. Gooden now trying to get a strikeout on Craig Reynolds. He works. Ball hit into left field. Base hit. Cruz had to hold up. Mookie Wilson will get it back in time, and here we go again. It's the bases loaded.
Johnny, my general overall criticism of managers in a championship series or a World Series is that they do not move fast enough when a pitcher gets into trouble. Now, so far, no one has warmed up down in that bullpen. Now, I know how much Dwight Gooden has meant to this team. He's down only 1 run. But here, on 3 base hits, the Astros load the bases, and in case that roof caves in, you've got to have somebody warm down in that bullpen.
Well, you certainly don't want to get him too late and throw too many pitches. Dennis Minke is talking to Mike Scott, whatever strategy now the Mets go out. The one thing that is important, as you say, to have somebody ready, but in the back of your mind, can you send anybody down there to warm up better than Dwight Gooden? And yes, maybe you can in this situation. But at the same time, he's going to wait and bide his time. Be sure to stay with CBS Radio throughout the baseball playoffs and the World Series as we bring you the action from Houston, New York, Boston, and Anaheim. Brett and I will be following the Mets and the Astros in the National League. And Ernie Harwell and Kurt Gowdy will be describing the action between the Red Sox and the Angels. Then, of course, the World Series gets underway October 18th, either in Houston or New York, with Jack Buck, Sparky Anderson, and Win Elliott on the scene. It's the place for Major League Baseball action, CBS Radio Sports. Dwight Gooden now ready to go, and Mike Scott stands in. Gooden throws a fastball, foul back.
With one out, Hernandez and Knight are aware of the bunt potential. Scott looking down at Dennis Menke, who's flashing the signs over here, and Hernandez watching from the first base side.
Cannot afford to let a bunt drop down. At the same time, a ball hits to them on just a couple of slow rolls. They'll have to go home. They have to play sort of in to make sure they get the force out. If the ball is hit to them, they have time to go to second or can take the option. Gooden starts steps towards third. The crowd, the 10th man right now, well, they're very exuberant. You kind of come to expect that in the Dome. I think they used to hide mics underneath the seats and turn them on when Houston came to bat. Gooden ready now, fires a curveball, fouled off down the right field line. That'll drop out of play. Strawberry overlooked, but it's about 7 rows back.
Now, the two hitters due up here for the Astros are 0-3 tonight against Gooden. He struck Scott out, and he has retired the leadoff hitter, Hatcher, on a fly ball to left, and a ground ball, a sharp ground ball that Ray Knight fielded and stepped on third base. But again, there is no one warming up in the Mets bullpen.
Well, they find themselves in the same situation. The base is loaded, and Scott up. He's followed by Hatcher. That's the way it was in the second inning. Gooden work, hit on the ground. At Santana. Santana over to Backman. Backman has returned it, yes. Double play for the New York Mets, and Dwight Gooden and Dave Johnson knew what he was doing all along.
He knew the double play was coming, didn't he?
3 base hits in a row, not a run scored. A double play ground ball by Mike Scott. So they leave 2. There were no errors, and they scored not again. After 4 innings, it's 1-0 in favor of the Astros. We'll be back in just a moment.
In the American League this afternoon, the Red Sox defeated the California Angels 9-2 in Fenway Park. Bruce Hurst was the winner. McCaskill the loser. Home runs by Joyner and Jim Rice. And Jim Rice had been slumping, Johnny, but he came out of it with a home run.
0 for 8 at the time. And of course, that's what they want to see, the big guy in the middle of the lineup. 13 hits for the Red Sox, 11 for the Angels, and a lot of those were the infield variety, and there's 5 errors up on the board, and it looked like even more than that. Mike Scott starts the top of the 5th. 6 strikeouts so far. He shows no walks. Dwight Gooden, only 1 strikeout and 1 walk. He's given up 6 hits, but he's only been hurt by 1 run on the scoreboard. That being a home run by Glenn Davis.
Johnny Scott has retired the leadoff hitter all 4 times that he has faced it. Dykstra on a bunt. He struck out Strawberry. Doran made a great diving grab of a Santana bid for a base hit, and then Backman flied out to left, and now here's Mookie Wilson.
Mookie stands in from the left side. He was a strikeout victim. A high fastball gets him cutting and fouling it back to the screen. No balls and a strike. Davis and Walling. Walling inside the line, up in front of the bag, a couple of steps, protecting against the bunt. Davis having to play in a little bit, respecting his speed in case he drags one. Scott throws, and he fouls another one back. High fastball again. 2 high fastballs. Looks like they like for him to chase the ladder. Mookie Wilson is first on the Mets all-time stolen base for 238.
See if he goes to the split finger here, 0-2.
He worked, he kicked, and he throws a fastball up and in. He almost knocked the bat out of his hand. He fouls it back over the Mets dugout. Now Walling moves back a couple of steps. Bud Harrelson stands at the third base coaching box. Billy Robinson does a great job for the Mets batting coach. And Ray Knight waits on deck. Scott ready to work again. There's the split finger, just missed down and away. Crowd really into it. It's a 1-0 ball game, and You would think it might be dull, but folks, it has been anything but dull at this point. My partner would tell you right now he is excited. It's everything we really expected. Scott into the windup, hands above the head, down and in, just missed again. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
An interesting breaking ball he threw that time. Before he learned the split finger, he was your basic fastball slider pitcher, and he couldn't survive with those 2 pitches, so he learned the split finger from Roger Craig, and here he is.
I enjoyed hitting off of him before he got this one. There's a ball rounded back up the middle. A great stop by Scott. He fires over to Davis, and Alan Ashby's going to go out there. I'm not sure they're hitting on the glove or the hand. Looks like they got him on the glove, and he tells Ashby, everything's fine, I'm okay, but Mookie hit that extremely hard. Right back through the middle, and he caught it with a glove hand. He had the bare hand right behind him. Kind of shakes you a little bit when you do that. The glove sort of protected the hand a little bit. I'm sure he got stung just a little bit, but a good play. Another defensive, Jim, you might say. 1-3 if you're scoring. Ray Knight, who flew out to center field, now stands in. There's a ball hit hard, pulled foul. Well, he got all of that one into the upper deck. About 40 feet foul, though.
Scott's pitch is not moving this inning the way it has in previous innings. And Knight got around a little quickly on that ball. He might have been in business with something into that left field corner.
Give me a loud foul. Now he'll work him away. Missed just outside with a split finger. And you're right, he kind of grabbed that ball back from Ashby and kind of shook his head a little bit disgusted. But he works quickly. Both feet on the rubber. Hands go behind the head. He works again. There's the split finger, and this time on the outside part of the plate. Knight telling Doug Harvey, that's low, and Ray knows the strike zone pretty well. Doug Harvey said, no, you don't know it as well as I do. Knight steps out. Now back in. Nancy Lopez, his wife, 2 kids here on watch the game, and he struck it out. A little upset. He didn't get that split finger fastball. This time he got it up in the strike zone, Brent. And it really was kind of a hanger. And you talked about him on the first pitch, and he got that pitch up. Strikeout number 7. Here's Santana. A career-high 9-game hitting streak. A home run, 28 RBIs. Hit a rope that was destined for the alley in right center. And now he hits another one. This time in the left field, it will drop in front of Cruz. Jose up very quickly and brings it back in and holds Santana to a single.
Johnny, the Mets have to take heart at what's happening here. Mike Scott is not as overpowering this inning as he has been previously. Even though he got the first 2 hitters out, Santana rifles that single into left field. Knight hit that long foul ball. They're only trailing by 1 run. They've been hanging close, even though Gooden is struggling.
2 outs, and the good thing is they got Gooden to bat. He can swing the bat. He does, but he misses the split-finger fastball. Wilson a threat to steal normally, as we talked about him being the number 1 on the Mets list, but, Rafael Santana will run. Sorry, he's the runner at first, but he will not run in this situation. They want to use Gooden's time at bat and get it up, hoping to get a base hit, but at the same time, get him out of the way. He misses again. He fouls one back off Ashby's shin guard, rolls back out to Scott. Mike picks it up, gives it back to Harvey. Harvey checks it and says the shin guard didn't step it up any more than you did. If he does, I don't think he does. He doesn't rub the ball up. He did in this particular situation. Maybe it's because Gooden is hitting. No balls, 2 strikes. 7 strikeouts for Scott. Working on number 8. Hit off the hit fist right on a short hop at Billy Dorr, and he's over to Davis. And he gives up a hit. That's to Rafael Santana. And Santana is stranded. And after 4.5 innings of play, it's still the Astros 1 and the Mets nothing. What about the pitches, Brent? We've been talking that Dwight Gooden had 29 just in 1 inning, while Scott at the same time had only 29 through the 3 innings.
Well, through the 4, it is 63 for Gooden and 52 for Scott. Scott needed 14 to get to that last inning.
Okay, but that's 1 more inning. Actually, Scott's through the 5 innings that he's faced the Mets. 63 for Gooden, as he's only pitched 4 innings, so he would like to have a nice inning this time, and Davy Johnson would love for him to have an easier inning. Twice the bases have been loaded. Billy Hatcher leads it off for the Houston Astros. Little skirmish down in the stands here. Somebody probably is a net. And Billy Hatcher, not to be denied his time at bat, waits for Dwight Gooden, and Gooden throws. Breaking ball high and inside.
What's happened, a couple of Met fans with a banner walking down amongst the crowd, and a couple of the Astro fans objected, and they grabbed the banner. I'm surprised the security cops didn't move a little quicker than that.
Well, they've got security everywhere, but you can't be everywhere. It started out very quietly, and now they're going to ask those two guys to leave. And they're asking, please protect me. But it's the Houston Police 4, and the Mets nothing, and now they got 4 fans out.
Mets haven't fared too well against the Houston Police this year, you may have noticed.
Hatcher now ahead in the count 2-0, and 2-0, and now 3-0. A high fastball, and Gooden erratic in the strike zone, really forcing it just a little bit. And I wouldn't be surprised now, Brent, that you did see a pitcher get up if he walked Hatcher. He did. No, he didn't.
It was a late call by Doug Harvey.
Well, a real late call, a down and away pitch. Hatcher really kind of bailed out, stepped completely almost out of the box, hoping that it would distract Gooden. He threw it down and away, and now he works back 3-1. He missed that time. Second walk for Gooden. Billy Hatcher 0 for 2. Now becomes the base runner. The Astros hoping to extend a 1-0 lead. Top of the order up. Hatcher a threat to run, 38 stolen bases. Gooden an easy mark.
Johnny, I don't know if there's a signal between Gary Carter and manager Davy Johnson, but he looked over 3 times into the corner of the dugout after that walk.
He also looked over for a pitch-out sign in case they're able to steal the sign. It's a choice also. A catcher should have a rapport with a manager that he can look over and say, get somebody warmed up. That should be a look. I used to have it with Sparky. I would look over, and when the pitcher definitely was looking the other way, and give that little underhand sign saying get somebody throwing. Hatcher with 1 foot now on the AstroTurf in the cutout waits for Gooden to throw. He's going to throw back to first. Carter not having the best of years throwing, neither did Ashby. Jody Davis with a wonderful year, threw out 78 base runners. A little easier to throw them on dirt than it is on AstroTurf. Billy Doran 0 for 2 on the evening. He flew out to left field and then rounded to first base. Keith Fernandez made a spectacular play. A pitch out. That's just not going.
Hatcher bluffed that time, and Carter stepped out hard, but he was not trying to steal second. He has stolen 38 bases this year for the Astros.
Carter again looks over to Davy Johnson. Sometimes you call it on your own, but you want to make sure the manager who has a way of stealing signs. Uh-oh, Hatcher was leaning. Nope, got him over there. Gooden fired quickly over there, and Hernandez talks to Lee Wire, saying, I got the glove down. Hatcher was definitely leaning, had a half a lean, and in fact took a half a step. Had to dive back very quickly. Hernandez, one of the best and quickest at getting the ball down. Boy, was that close. Lee Wire right on top of it, all 6'7" of him. Went over to Japan with us in 1978. Matt Galante standing beside him, the little 5'6" or 5'7". They really make a pair out there. Gooden fires over once again, and he's safe again. It was kind of funny to look over there and see Galante at his size and about as big around as Lee Wire, and Lee Wire is a pretty good-sized guy, and standing there side by side, looked like one shadow of the other.
One of the areas that Gooden has improved the last year is his pickoff move to first base. Because of that high leg kick, he didn't hold runners as well as he's doing here tonight against Hatcher.
No. As a matter of fact, he has improved, and they told Carter after the other year they might throw it to shortstop and head him off. A quick throw back over to first base, and Hatcher once again dives in, and the crowd becomes restless. Against
the Mets, the Astros have stolen 12 bases, and they were caught 3 times. That's this season.
Billy Dorn, a very patient hitter out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Waits at the plate. Gooden now get ready to work. He kicks, he throws. There goes Hatcher as the throw down. No time. Not in time. Hatcher slid head first, hit Santana's glove with his shoulder and knocked it into left field. And I wouldn't be surprised if Billy Hatcher didn't hurt himself a little bit.
Gets back up. Johnny rubs the spot a little bit where he was hit by that throw. He had an excellent jump. Gary Carter had no chance.
No chance whatsoever. He made a good throw right on target, but the ball arrived just as his shoulder did. And Hatcher was all out. He slid so hard that he slid right on into it. And the force of it, actually, you're right, the ball actually hit his top above his elbow right on the upper side of his left arm and careened over into left field, but Hatcher was unable to move any farther. And once again, the Astros have a threat going, and they do not have the bottom of the line up there. It's Billy Dorn with a ball with a count of 2 balls and no strikes.
Still no one warming up for the Mets.
Ball hit hard, full foul. He'll be out of play. Hit very hard, and Brett, that is kind of interesting that nobody is warming up. That's how much faith he has. Davey Johnson looks at the scoreboard and says, folks, it's only 1-0. If you were explaining this game to a foreign visitor,
you would do the explaining.
Carter flashes a lot of signs. He's got the decoy and try to not give them away to Hatcher. Gooden works again. Ball hit on the ground to Keith Hernandez at first base. Doran does the job. Gets a nice hand as Hatcher moves to third base. Let's pause 10 seconds before stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network. Certainly they have to fear the bat of Glenn Davis. This is a bat they have to reckon with as well. .312 hitter, Dennis Walling. Denny, the third baseman, he's 0 for 2. Been a great pinch hitter over the years. Being in this situation, he knows how to be selective. Gooden works from the stretch, the infield, well in on the infield. Curveball for a strike. Good pitch by Gooden. Backman, Santana, Knight, along with Hernandez, along the line of the infield. A lot of thoughts going through the head of the first baseman. Hernandez is sure that he has, with his great glove, can stop it. There's a foul ball hit over the third base dugout into the upper deck.
Johnny, after the workout yesterday, Dwight Gooden was asked by the media, are there 1 or 2 guys who you cannot let beat you on this Houston team? And he said, I think the main thing is to keep the leadoff man off base. Well, he just let Hatcher on. And then not let Davis beat you with a long ball. Well, Davis has a 400-foot-plus home run, so the game plan for the Doc is not successful here so far.
But it's still 1-0. He can keep it that way if he gets Gooden. I mean, if he gets Dennis Walling, and Walling fights one off the fifth back over the screen.
Great respect here for Mike Scott. On the AstroTurf infield, Davey Johnson has pulled everybody in a 1-0 game. He knows it's going to be very difficult to score a lot of runs. We are in the bottom of the 5th inning, and with a runner on third and Walling up, the Mets are moving in to try and choke it off.
Hatcher down the line as Gooden checks in for the sign. Nods yes. Goes to the belt. Now brings it home. There's the ball hit towards Santana. Up quickly at Carter. He tries to bowl him over, but he really had no chance. A really fine play by Santana. Picked it up very quickly and got it there just as quickly to Carter.
Now, ordinarily, Carter will get you with a sweep tag. But that time he knew it was going to be close, and he threw his body right in front of Hatcher's way. Santana making the good throw, as Johnny Bench told you, and Carter reminded me of one number 5 who used to play with the Cincinnati Reds when he shut off that run that time, and they got the put out.
It is better to be a live coward than a dead hero.
How about a live hero like Gary Carter is right now?
Well, he knew he was going to get run into. That's the aggressive play that the Houston Astros have. And, of course, Gary Carter backed up from no one. One of the fine catchers to ever play the game of baseball. Has really been a solidifying force for the New York Mets Plays hurt, plays gutty, 10 consecutive 100-game seasons, 105 RBIs. And a truly nice guy who loves to play the game. Here's Davis. And Gooden gives him a little wide berth, going away for a ball.
Johnny, we have had superb defense in this 1-0 game. Doran with a great diving catch at second. Keith Hernandez and Ray Knight for the Mets have gone diving after potential base hits. Now Santana with a perfect throw and Carter with the block.
That's why Santana has been able to stay in the lineup. Only 15 errors all year long. Gooden tries to break off a curveball. It's down and away. Carter does a nice job of blocking it again. Walling, not much of a threat to run. They'll try to let Davis swing the bat.
How many years did you say that Carter has caught 100 or more games?
10 consecutive years.
You did it in 13.
13, Bill Dickey and I. 13 consecutive years, and starts to wear on you. The young man will find out, but when you pay him $2 million a year, he can withstand a lot of that pain. A curveball, this time over the plate for a strike. 2 balls and a strike. Makes almost as much as some announcers. Unbelievable. 2 balls and a strike. We're in the Astrodome in Houston. This afternoon, the Boston Red Sox even their series with the Angels, winning 9-2 on a real lulu of a ball game. 5 errors in the game, 25 hits.
Gooden almost balked. He came off the rubber that time to throw over to first base. He was going to hold up with his throw. Instead, he realized that you've got to follow through as he did.
Well, he has 4 balks this year, Brent. There's a ball hit off the fist into right field. Strawberry on the run. He'll have time now as he shortens up, makes the one-handed grab. Well, they've had base runners. They've had opportunities. The only thing they have is a home run, and that came via the long ball by Glenn Davis. And it's 5 innings of play, and we've gone through. The Astros are leading 1-0. We'll be back in just a moment. No rain out. It's official. 5-inning game at this point.
We get a rain out here under the dome. You've got a scoop, Mr.
Well,
Ben.
Billy Doran was out there one night, and they had a leak in the top of the roof. It was raining so hard that it came splashing down behind home plate. I've been rained in before here.
Is that right?
Couldn't get out. Couldn't get out of the park. It was up to the doors.
What'd you do, play another one?
Oh, why not? You know, go back in. Sit around with the boys. Then Dykstra will lead it off for the New York Mets as we go into the 6th inning. Mike Scott, 7 strikeouts. That mentions the fact that he got hit a little bit in the last inning. Let's see if he bounces back as the top of the order comes up. Split-fingered fastball, and it does look like he's laboring a little bit more, kind of pushing the ball, not as aggressive coming off of the mound. Dykstra 0 for 2, tried to get on by a bunt. He was tagged out down the line by Davis and grounded to second base. There's a fastball. That missed just outside. Not as much energy shown by Scott. He's not as dry as he is walking around the mound in the early part of the inning. Some of this excitement, adrenaline wearing off. Dykstra crouches down, takes a strike. Vinny Dykstra, 5'7". Well, we may give him 5'9". Crouches down, holds the bat in front of him. Now gets back into it and watches a fastball high.
I think Gary Coleman would give you a bigger strike zone than Dykstra does.
Well, Dykstra, he's what makes the Mets go. He and Backman, they're very similar team-wise. They want their first 2 men to get on base. That's the first time he's gone to 3 balls on any hitter so far, and he comes back and throws a strike. Full count. They want Dykstra and Backman on. They want them running the bases, putting pressure on the defense. Bring up Hernandez, Carter, and Strawberry. Get some runs on the board. 1-0. They haven't had a lot happening for them up to this point, but they're still in the ball game. And the Mets can say, well, we got him. There's a ball fouled back into the upper deck, and the Astros say we had so many chances. And they have. They've had the bases loaded twice. They had a man at third base in scoring position with only 1 out. A throw to the plate by Santana erased him. And then you look at games like this, and you'll see the Mets come up with just 1 opportunity. They'll score 2 runs, and win a ball game. First walk of the ball game by Mike Scott. I waited for a late call, maybe by Doug Harvey, but it went for naught, and Scott has allowed the first man to get on, and that's the first time that has happened in the game.
And we'll see if Hal Lanier shows as much confidence in Mike Scott as Davey Johnson has in Dwight Gooden. Throughout the game, Johnson had ample opportunity to warm someone up in that Met bullpen, but he has declined. Nobody is scurrying down the right field side either. But the last couple of innings, Scott has not been an impressive pitcher.
You danced with the one who brung him.
Thank you, Darrell Roy. Down here in Texas, I'd expect to hear that.
Scott throws over to Davis. Dykstra diving back. Backman, maybe an opportunity to sacrifice here. Maybe an opportunity to use his speed or just take a pitch or two and see if the Mets can be successful at the running game as well. Ashby flashes a sign out to Scott. Scott looking over his left shoulder at Dykstra. Dykstra holds. There's a ball down and away. His quick finger not coming over quite as much over the top now, and he misses with the ball down and away.
Dykstra stole 31 bases on the season. Against the Astros, the Mets stole 5 times this year, and they were caught 3 times.
Not a bad average. But they're not that much of a running team except for these 2 leadoff guys. Santana will run a little bit. And of course, Mookie in and out of the lineup. And I would expect Dykstra to go. He doesn't. Ball hit in the air by Backman. Back goes Cruz. Way back. He's still going back. He's at the warning track. He makes the play. Dykstra had gone to second base. Gets back in time. And Wally Backman, not known for much power, only 1 home run on the year, hit it well to left field. Cruz, playing him fairly shallow, had to do a lot of running, coasting, and then some running again. Good defense has marked this game at second, first, third, and now left field. Dykstra going down and getting ready. He was standing at the second base bag in case it got by him. And with his speed, he may be able to score had it checked off of the board. Billy Hatcher was over there to help him. Dykstra remains at first. 1 out. Keith Hernandez is the hitter. 1 for 2. A strikeout victim in the first. And a base hit in the fourth. And Mike Scott respect. Looking for a ground ball or maybe another strikeout, this time a pitch out. Dykstra not going.
Johnny Hernandez is a good contact man. And if they wanted to start the runner in Dykstra to get something going, the only problem is Hernandez being a left-handed hitter, and you sometimes pull Davis right into the line of a ground ball down toward right field. So the Mets have a decision to make here because Davis is pinned to first base, and that leaves the alley open over there if Dykstra holds and waits for Hernandez's time at bat.
Scott checks Dykstra again with a throw over. And you don't know if Dykstra has a different hit and run or a different steal sign than a hit and run for Hernandez. They may leave it up to Hernandez to swing at the pitch if he wants to. A quick move by Scott, not in time. Dykstra dives back. Billy Robinson walks over, gives Dykstra a couple of words, claps his hands for Keith Hernandez. And Scott waits for Hernandez to come back into the box. Bud Harrelson leaning on his knees, not giving signs any longer. Jerry Carter waits on deck. A quick jump throw. Almost got away from Glenn Davis. Trying to be a little too sneaky over there. Could get you in trouble. That's what speed will do. That's what they talked about, getting those 2 little speedsters on. And Hal Lanier flashes some signs to Alan Ashby. 1 ball and no strike. Will he dare pitch out again with Hernandez and go in the hole 2-0? Very doubtful unless they are definitely sure that Dykstra is going. Now Scott is ready. There goes, nope, Dykstra doesn't go. A bluff, and it's 2-0. Pins and needles, folks. This is the playoff. This is what it's all about. You had 3 opportunities to score, and you didn't. Now you get a guy on first base, and you start getting nervous because the middle of the lineup of the Mets are up. There's 1 out. Don't let things get out of hand. You're sitting there thinking, and don't take so long to throw the ball. Let the defense work for you. There's a fastball on the outside corner for a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. Perfect time now for Dykstra to be running.
The Mets have not advanced a runner to second base yet on Mike Scott. They have 2 hits off him, and they had a runner reach on an error, and now a fourth base runner. Dykstra draws a walk over here at first base.
Hernandez, the MVP of 1979, won batting titles, holds his hands out over the plate. A jump throw by Mike Scott has Dykstra diving back in. Cat and mouse game. Hernandez wiping sweat from his brow, getting the pine tar from the bat, a deep shrug, big breath to relax himself, adjust his helmet. Bat, one corner to the other corner of the plate, now ready. Scott's pitch, there goes Dykstra. Foul back. Dykstra with a fairly decent jump. Would have been a challenge for Ashby to get him. But Keith Hernandez had a full cut at that pitch, right out over the middle of the plate. Of course, the way of thinking, let the runner steal, but at the same time, if he hits it in the gap, you're tied this ball game up at 1. Dykstra walks slowly back to first base. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 run for the Astros. With 6 hits, they've made an error. The Mets, no runs on 2 hits and no error. Crowd starting to warm it up now. Wanting to get Hernandez so they can get Carter up there. Carter, a 2-time strikeout victim. Here's Scott. Dykstra stays. Doug Harvey says no, down low. Full count. Hernandez, great eye, led the league in walks with 94. You can be sure that Len Dykstra will be running. You can be sure now that Mike Scott is thinking, get the hitter out. Get this strikeout. Do not walk him, and Hernandez steps out again. Dwight Gooden said something in an interview about the one thing that might bother him would be batters stepping out, as they do when the airplanes fly over Shea Stadium from out of LaGuardia, to interrupt your rhythm. Hernandez may use that now to interrupt Scott's rhythm. There goes Dykstra, the pitch. Strike 3, stuck him out. Ball down to second base in the dirt, and Hernandez is mad. Hernandez is mad. He said, why did you call it so quick? And Doug Harvey is telling him that he had to.
And he says the ball is outside. Davey Johnson coming out to protect Hernandez, who is arguing vociferously with Harvey on the call. Hernandez drew a line indicating where he thought the pitch was. The throw through to second by Ashby bounced, and he had no shot at Dykstra, who had a good jump on the pitch.
One of the first questions that Keith asked him was, why did you call it so quick? And it was a very close pitch. But a guy who leads the league in walks thinks that he knows it better than Doug Harvey. Could have been outside, could have been down, could have been on the corner, and Doug Harvey takes off his mask and looks into the dugout. He will not take much guff. And the one thing that you don't want to do in a series, in a playoff series, is throw somebody out of the ball game. But he had to call the ball quick so that Ashby could either hold the ball or throw it to second base.
Carter continuing to bark from the dugout. Now we come down to Scott versus Carter with that tying run on.
Well, this is what Gary loves this situation to be in. He has struck out twice against Scott. He's had Doug Harvey check the ball for scuff marks. 242 career batting average with 2 outs and runners on base, but this is what they pay him for, and this is what he has come through with all year long. A split finger outside, ball 1.
Scott beating him almost exclusively the split finger pitch. In case you're wondering the percentages, Scott claims that he throws it about 40% of the time during a game.
He gets the sign. Split finger hit on the ground, foul. Dennis Walling in to pick it up. 1 ball and 1 strike. Harvey wants to look at it. The crowd picking it up a little bit with a little chant and clap, and when they get 2 strikes, you can bet they will be all over Gary Carter. David versus Goliath. That's what they feel like it is down here in Houston. The Rodney Dangerfield of baseball. Trying to gain a little bit of respect. Mike Scott is respected. He's also in the stretch. 1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch to Carter. Foul back right off the catcher's shin guard. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. And listen to the crowd now.
Scott with 8 strikeouts already tonight.
Wonder if they'll be able to guess what happened. We may let the crowd call this pitch. As the fans in the stand hold up orange K's. Scott looked in for the sign. He's at the stretch. You be the umpire. Outside. Oh. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Hernandez still pacing the dugout. Glove in hand. Throwing the ball in and out. The rest of the Mets wait as they lean over. Scott up to this point had only thrown 11 balls in 5 innings. This inning he's thrown 11 balls by himself. And here's the pitch. It's full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Howard Johnson and Lee Mazzilli trying to calm Keith Hernandez down. They need every hitter they can get in the lineup. They're saying stay with them. Nobody wants to strike out in a playoff game or a 1-0 ball game, not especially Keith Hernandez. Here's the pitch.
He threw a fastball right down the heart of the plate, and Carter was taking it.
What do you think he was looking for?
I can't believe he took that pitch, except he was looking for the split finger, and Scott just rode in the fastball.
That's where the offensive hitter becomes the defensive hitter. After 5.5 innings of play, it's the Astros 1, the Mets nothing. Stanley Tools, the tool company that helps you do things right. Salutes Mike Schmidt of the Phillies, who led the National League in home runs, slugging percentage, and RBIs. Stanley Tools salutes Mike Schmidt, who does things right.
What a year Mike Schmidt had. Certainly a leading candidate to win the Most Valuable Player Award. Again, he backed it up a couple of years. 37 home runs and how many RBIs? 117, I think.
Right at 119.
He was. You're right. He picked up 2 more on that last weekend. Also batted .290.
And one other thing is he only made 6 errors at third base. And he has been up in the 130s before. I mean, not 130, in the 30s before. We're not talking about RBIs. And Carter now talking very diplomatically to Doug Harvey. Still either protecting himself or protecting Keith Hernandez. Pass lines one into right field. He jumped on the first pitch by Dwight Gooden, and Kevin Bass, who continues to do it for the Houston Astros, laces one between first and second base. Base hit number 2 for Bass on the evening. He's 2 for 3. Jose Cruz flew to center field in the second inning and then got a base hit. First of 3 hits in a row in the 4th inning. And you know something, Brent? They don't have anybody warming up. So death do us part. What it seems to be. Cruz now waits. Holds the bat high. Waves it. Gooden into the stretch. He's going to throw over to Bass. And Bass definitely a threat to run. 22 stolen bases. Al Lanier not content with just a 1-run lead. I'm sure he's going to try to move somebody. He'll try to get Bass moving. And it's up to Bass. Gooden moves too fast and gives away the pitch out. He won't run. He is not running. A curveball on the outside part of the plate to Cruz is a strike. No balls, 1 strike, nobody out on number 25. Played with his brother Hector. Jose was so excited tonight he forgot to leave the tickets for Hector to get to the park. Here's Gooden. Bass, not a big lead. Waits, ball hit on the ground, foul. And I think Mr. Cruz broke his back. Yeah, he's going to have to get some other lumber up there. Let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves while he does that on the CBS Radio Network.
928 Information Radio, KCCI up here. We have a mostly cloudy 39.
1986, Jose drove in his 1,000th run and picked up his 1,800 hit as an Astro. You talk about an underrated player. Year after year, he consistently does it. Had a bad knee and really did not have a good first half. Brent mentioned the fact that he hit over 300 for the second half of the season. Hit 9 home runs in the second half after July 11th. There's a high fastball. He swung through it and struck out. Gooden really threw that, and he got Cruz, which not the most disciplined hitter in the world, but that ball was right around his eyes, and Gooden only strikeout number 2 on the evening for Dwight. Alan Ashby, perfect for the evening. He walked in the second. He had a base hit in the fourth. That was the second of the inning. Craig Reynolds then got a base hit, but Cruz could not advance because of his hit in the hole between short and third, and thus the bases were loaded. Twice the bases have been loaded for the Houston Astros, and twice they have been unable to score. This is a recording. Fastball misses by Gooden up and away. They also had a runner at third with 1 out in the fifth and were unable to score. And I'm unable to say that again. 1 man out. Bass at first base as he laced the first pitch of the inning into right field. Gooden in the stretch looking in for the sign to Carter. Bass 1 foot right at the edge, easy to dive back, and he does. Gooden throwing over to first quite often now, trying to protect Gary Carter's chance at throwing out Kevin Bass. And will Kevin try to run? Will Halanier let him run with Ashby, who is a good hit-and-run contact man, and he stands straight up. He may be going. No, he's not. Swung out on a high fastball. Missed. 1 ball and 1 strike. Double play depth. Santana not too deep. Backman deeper because Ashby not known to run well. They've got time to turn the double play, and you would think that Santana might be even a little deeper. But they want to make sure that they get the bag in time before Bass does so that he doesn't interrupt the double play opportunity. Here's Gooden again, and Bass fakes, does not go. Ball outside. Down and away, and I'm sure that Keith Hernandez would like to say that's the same place that you called strike 3 on me. 2 balls and a strike. Dennis Minke flashed his sign. So they look for Bass to be a little bit upright. Will he bend over? Well, he kind of weakened his knees as Gooden threw over there. Maybe he has thoughts of running. 2-1. Would you take a chance at pitching out? Then you're really in a hole. Tough to be a catcher, folks. You're up on your knees all the time, ready to go. There he goes. Gooden throws a high curveball, and no chance. Carter still not nearly in time. High off-speed pitch, and well, the Astros are really sliding hard. Bass almost overslid the bag. Just about could have stood up. It was a high breaking ball taken by Ashby, and Santana had to catch the ball out in front of the base, and Carter's arm seems to be giving him problem. Not the rifle that we have once seen in the past, but when you get that many runners running against you, you have to make those hard throws with great accuracy. You get a lot of jerk, and you start to lose it. And that's why catchers have problems catching more than 13 consecutive years. Man at second base. Ashby looks at a curveball. This is high as well. And another base on ball for Alan Ashby. 1 for 1 with 2 base on balls. The base hit the right field, and Reynolds is at the plate. He's 2 for 2.
Johnny, that's the 3rd walk-off Dwight Gooden, and again the Astros have put 2 runners on. Now, if they can't break through here soon against Gooden, this is apt to come back to haunt them. They left the bases loaded in the 2nd. They left 2 runners on in the 4th. They left another man stranded in the 5th. Now they have 2 runners on with 1 out, and Craig Reynolds moving up to the plate, and he has had an excellent night at the bat so far.
And nobody is warming up. Well, he's got to look down the lineup. The 5th hitter in the lineup is up, and if he would get a chance, I'm sure in this inning he would have to hit. Maybe he's thinking of that. a breaking ball down to Craig Reynolds. Here we are at the bottom of the order again, and once again, an opportunity for Craig Reynolds to get on to load the bases, and this would be the third time in the game that Scott would come up in that situation. Gooden will try to work on him. Reynolds will try to get a base hit that can score. Bass, who waits at second base. Ashby at first, and a turn throw, a 360 by a 180 by Dwight Gooden. Gets Bass diving back. Santana plays in, trying to hold Bass close as he can. A base hit to the outfield would normally score Bass, but if he has to hold, a good arm of Strawberry would prevent that. High fastball. Up and away, 2 balls and no strikes. Well, I've got to worry now, or wonder, how long can they go without warming someone up? We are in the 6th inning. They have Orozco. They have McDowell. Aguilera can relieve. Will they give the green light to Craig Reynolds? Gooden throws. He swings and fouls it back. They show a lot of confidence in Craig Reynolds, and of course he is a dead fastball hitter. You've got to go with it. You can't really go for the walk with Mike Scott behind you. A base hit, a double, and Craig Reynolds 2 for 2 on the evening has solved the charges of Dwight Gooden. 92 pitches now for Dwight. We're getting to a situation where we get around the 100 level, and they're definitely going to have to consider something. Here's a fastball hit well into right field. Strawberry drifts back. He's at the track. He'll make the catch. Bass will tag. He will go easily to third base. Ashby has to wait, and there's 2 outs in the inning, and Rafael Santana calls time.
Well, again, he draws the pitcher, Mike Scott, at the appropriate time. Back in the 2nd inning, Scott came up with the bases loaded, and Gooden was able to strike him out. Then with the bases loaded again in the 4th inning, got him to bang into a double play. Now Scott comes to the bat at the bottom of the 6th inning with 2 on, but there are 2 outs.
Doug Harvey out in front of the plate. Gooden stands over to the side of the mound, wipes the sweat from his brow. Scott waiting, saying, if only I would have gotten just a blue pit, or earlier a sacrifice fly. If only. He's hanging by the edge of his seat. With a 1-0 lead as he bats here in the 6th, 2 outs. In at first and third, Gooden throws a fastball fouled back. I would say this is a sellout tonight. I don't see an empty seat. I see a lot of people standing around the outside edges. It is standing room only. Houston has needed this. Economy down. Need something to pull for. They showed pictures of the Oilers on the board, and they booed. So they're pulling for the Mets, and Gooden fires another fastball foul back.
Actually, they've had more than their share down here. The Houston Rockets got into the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics. If you want to think of the 2 cities that probably had the most professional sports success this year, it would be Houston and Boston. Boston wins an NBA title, gets the football team into the Super Bowl, and now has a baseball team even up with the California Angels. Game 3 in that series Friday night on the CBS Radio Network. We will start our coverage at 8:07 Eastern Standard Time.
And they would like to have a series back in Boston with Houston from down here. A curveball, strike 3. Dwight Gooden got him on a curveball, only the 3rd strikeout of the evening, and twice it has been Scott. The Astros get no runs. They only had 1 hit. They were the walk in the inning. They left 2. And after 6 innings of play, it's 1-0 Astros.
It's the 7th inning in the Houston Astrodome. I'm Brent Mushberger along with Johnny Bench. The Houston Astros lead the New York Mets 1-0, and this is the first game of the National League Championship Series. For the Mets, no runs on 2 hits. They have committed no errors. For the Astros, 1 run on 7 hits and 1 error. The big hit of the game tonight was a towering home run by Houston first baseman Glenn Davis in the 2nd inning. It carried well over 400 feet in dead center field. Davis was leading off the 2nd against right-handed pitcher Dwight Gooden. Now Mike Scott trying to protect that one-run lead. He will be squaring off against Darryl Strawberry, Mookie Wilson, and Ray Knight, who combined are 0 for 6 here in the 7th inning. Scott, who struck out more than 300 hitters this inning, has fanned 9 here tonight and walked only 1. Scott has thrown 73 pitches through 6 innings. Looking at Darryl Strawberry, and Strawberry takes a called strike. Was doing a home run hitting contest the day prior to the All-Star game down here when we watched Mr. Strawberry take one off a loudspeaker deep in right center. He'd love to have a long ball here. Scott gets upstairs with that pitch, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Strawberry took a called third strike in the 2nd inning and then bounded out on a fielder's choice to end the 4th. And he swings through that one, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 2 hits off Scott have been singles. One by Keith Hernandez to right field, and the second by Rafael Santana to left. And that's been the extent of it. Here's the pitch, up high, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Strawberry. A young man with about as much potential as you'll ever want to see in a Major League Baseball player. Came out of Los Angeles. Was the first player picked in the draft by the Mets. 2-2 to Strawberry, and tight, and it goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Really overthrew those last 2 fastballs trying to get him to chase it. And he knew he had to have something on it. He realized the 1-0 lead is not safe with 1 swing of the bat from Strawberry.
Here's 3-2. Swung on a miss, and there's a 10th strikeout of the night by Scott. The heart of the New York batting order is Keith Hernandez, Gary Carter, and Darryl Strawberry. On the night, Mike Scott has registered 7 of his 10 strikeouts against those 3. Keith Hernandez is the only one to reach base. They are a combined 1 for 9. 7 strikeouts. It's up high to Mookie Wilson, and it's 1 ball. Mookie struck out in the 2nd inning and grounded out in the 5th. Ashby clocks out to check with Scott. Of the Met lineup, the hitters who have not struck out tonight against Scott are Lynn Dykstra, Wally Backman, and Rafael Santana. Santana, the number 8 hitter, has battled him the most effectively. Billy Doran took a base hit away from him in the 3rd inning, and then Santana singled to left in the 5th. This is Wilson. Foul back into the screen, and it's a ball and a strike. Just as he did hitters all season long, Mike Scott is dominating this game tonight. He was 18-10 with a 2.22 earned run average, and Houston pitching coach Les Moss trots out of the dugout to chat with Scott. Johnny, what do you think that trip's about?
Well, I think they might have seen him overthrowing just a little bit, especially on Strawberry, and they want to make sure that he doesn't go out there and let something go in extra fashion. I'm not sure that Moss could judge that quickly.
Up high, 2 balls and a strike here to Wilson.
Maybe he's seen something in Mike that is a little different. Maybe he thinks that maybe he hurt himself, or when he threw that last pitch to Strawberry, it may have affected. He just wanted to make sure.
Here's the wind by the right-hander. Swung on and missed by Wilson. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and when that split-finger fastball is breaking, it is virtually unhittable. I mean, the bottom drops out. 2-2 and 1 out. Crowd wants number 11. They won't get it. There's a fly ball to deep right field. Kevin Bass on the move, pulls it in. There are 2 outs. The Mets have advanced a runner to second base only 1 time in this game. And not yet in a single inning have they put 2 runners on base against Scott. That's how dominating he's been. Here is Ray Knight. He flied out to center in the 2nd, and he struck out in the 5th. Mike Scott with 2 hits, 10 strikeouts, and 1 walk. He looks in at Ashby. To the wind. Here's the pitch. Taken inside for ball 1.
Well, only 3 pitchers have struck out 10 or more in a playoff series, and there you have some action in case they get some hitters on, some runners on. Seaver struck out 13 and 8 in the third inning in 73, and Candelaria struck out 14. He struck out 14 Reds in 75.
Got foul. That's Roger McDowell in the Met bullpen, number 42. He is the first pitcher to loosen up. McDowell was treated rather roughly by the Houston Astros this year. Ashby flashes the sign out. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Here's the pitch by Scott. Call strike on the outside corner. And if nothing else, Doug Harvey is consistent. He has been a pitcher's umpire here tonight. Knight didn't like that call. He backed away, and he's gone at Harvey. The crowd is up. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. They showed a replay, and the pitch caught the front part of the plate before it went outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hit in the air, foul, and back into the crowd behind home plate. Actually, it hit the net that runs up here toward the press box level.
Ray Knight, a hard-nosed guy. In fact, they've had 4 fights. Ray is right in the middle of 2 of them. Will not back off to anybody. Took me duck hunting down there, baited the pond, got me in trouble. Had me almost in jail. Crowd on their feet. That would just intensify him.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Scott's ready. Ground ball, and Scott's got it. The throw over to Davis. And the Mets are out in the 7th. They've got 2 more chances to break through. After 6.5 innings, the Astros still lead the Mets 1-0. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. The Astros leading the Mets 1-0 on a Glenn Davis home run. In the American League, the Boston Red Sox won this afternoon over the California Angels in Fenway Park. 9-2 the final score. Jim Rice and Wally Joyner with home runs. It was Hurst over McCaskill. First game of that series was won by the Angels 8-1. The American League teams will take tomorrow off and resume Friday night in Anaheim on the CBS Radio Network. We'll start our coverage at 8:07. Tomorrow night, Johnny Benson and I will be back here in the Astrodome. And we will begin at 8:07 Eastern Time, Game 2. Dwight Gooden has gone all the way. He has given up 7 hits, but only 1 run.
And this will be his last inning, you would have to assume.
They will be taking him out for a pinch hitter in the 8th inning as Hatcher slaps 1 foul over to the dugout for strike 1. Hatcher is 0 for 2, walked and stole a base, and was out at the plate attempting to score the Astros' 2nd run when Santana made a perfect throw to Gary Carter, who was blocking home plate on an infield ground ball. And Hatcher goes over to get a new bat, using the fine tar rag to rub it down so he can get a better grip. And the Astros center fielder comes back up to the plate.
Astros have their rally caps on, Shea and Kerfeld down in the dugout. That's when they turn the hats inside out. Put them on. It's called the rally cap.
Mr. Hatcher calls strike. And it's no balls and 2 strikes. Fastball at the knees.
Almost the identical pitch that Ray Knight pitched and argued. Been a couple of arguments, and questionable, but that's what happens when you got a guy like just not throwing strikes.
But foul. Back into the seats here in the Astrodome. 330 feet down the line, further than that in Shea Stadium. Why don't they hit home runs here? Well, apparently it has an awful lot to do with the atmosphere and the hitting background.
They need more plants in here. Actually, the carbon dioxide that we're all breathing in here, I think, deters baseball. It's anti-baseball dioxide. It's a theory.
No balls and 2 strikes. It's as good as any I've heard tonight. Here's the pitch up high to have no ball and 2 strikes. So on a night when Doc Gooden did not have his best stuff, he still battled into the 7th inning. Down only 1 run. Swung on and missed by Hatcher. And for Gooden, that's his 4th strikeout. 3 of them coming here on the last 6 hitters. So maybe Davey Johnson knew something in watching Gooden that he was going to get a little bit stronger. Here he is against Bill Doran. Doran on the night is 0 for 3. Keith Hernandez took a base hit away from him in the third inning. Made a diving grab on the carpet and threw to Gooden, who quickly came over to cover. Gooden with the sign from Carter. Change, and the breaking ball across for a strike to Doran.
Very aggressive now on the mound. That time his follow-through took him onto the carpet. And maybe he has the rhythm that he's been looking for. A strong kid now just open.
Couldn't. Missing that time outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. The entire offense tonight, a home run by Glenn Davis back in the second run. And, folks, it wasn't cheap. He powered it. Gooden wide. Fastball slapped toward the gap in left center field, but Mookie Wilson's over quickly, and he'll make the put out. Well, Mookie Wilson started out the night like he was going to be the biggest left fielder in the history of baseball. He made 3 putouts in the first inning. That's his first sense. And there are 2 down here in the 7th, and now it is up to Denny Walling to get something going for those rally caps over in the Astro dugout. Walling, the Astros third baseman, 0 for 3 here this evening. He flied to Mookie, grounded to Hernandez, who threw to Gooden, and he also grounded out in the 5th inning to the second baseman. All strike.
Really coming off the mound and very much more aggressive. Maybe it takes the youngster 100 pitches to get really loose. I'll tell you what, he has not pitched perfectly, but he's only down 1-0.
Flat foul on the fastball. Back on the net here in the Astrodome. Sellout crowd. Johnny told you could not get a ticket to the Dome here tonight. This is a baseball team that struggled early on. Remember those rumors? This team was going to move to Washington? Folks, you can take it to the bank. They'll be right back here in Houston next year.
44,131 think so.
0-2 on its way. Foul back by Walling.
Houston, sure, the record here is 50,000, Brent. That's when they had little seats.
Right?
Yeah, they used to have little seats, and they said we should do a little better for Texas, and they bigger seats, and they actually have. And now that's why a full house is only 44,000.
If you're a Met fan and you want to look ahead to the 8th, it'll be Rafael Santana, a pinch hitter for Gooden, and Lynn Dykstra. And the big boys would be due up in the 9th inning against Scott. And the big boys haven't done a thing. Pitch is outside to Wally.
Ray Knight and Santana headed to the dugout with that pitch, and Doug Harvey, I'm sure, took notice of it, as did the other umpires. That's runner down at third. They're right in front of him. Saying, boys, we'll do the umpiring.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Here it comes. Swung on and missed that time, and now Big Noel go to the dugout. Strikeout number 5. 2 of them in the 6th, 2 of them in the 7th. The Astros, no runs, no hits, nobody left on. And through 7, it's the Astros 1, the Mets nothing, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Come on into Super Duper this week for Surefine Chunk Light Oil or Water Pack Tuna, 6.5-ounce can at 49 cents. Surefine Tomato Juice, 46-ounce can, 69 cents. And bone-in round steak, just $1.89 a pound. This week at your Super Duper Market in Pierre.
Go for the green, go for the green. You get much more at a Green Stamp store.
Flip the coupon from the flyer and get double S&H green stamps this week at your Super Duper Markets in Pierre.
We're just friends, that's what we are. Helping you grow right where you are.
For 65 years, you've done business with the people at Erickson and Thorpe. It's now time for a change, but only one, the name. The same people, just a different name. Erickson and Thorpe is now called Fisher, Rounds and Associates Insurance and Real Estate.
We're just friends, won't let you down.
Whether it's Sunday, the top of the 8th inning, Mike Scott ready to go to work, and what a job he has done here tonight in Houston. Just as he has all season long, Scott is dominating the New York Mets. He'll be looking at a couple of pinch hitters this inning. Lee Mazzilli and Danny Heath are going to be set up by manager Davey Johnson. And at the top of the broadcast in our pregame show, Gary Carter telling our audience that he thinks Mike Scott cheats by stuffing up the baseballs. Scott was asked about it at his news conference yesterday, and he said, well, this has been going on for several years, and I think it works to my advantage. If they think I am doctoring the ball, if they think I have a pitch I don't have, it helps me. Scott insisting that it is simply a split finger fastball. He jams the ball between his index and his middle finger. And it'll be Lee Mazzilli due up. He is one of the happiest of the Mets. He woke up and found himself on a championship team after George Foster was turned loose, taking a strike from Scott off the split finger pitch. So it'll be a couple of left-handed hitters due up here for the Mets in the 8th inning.
Released by the Pirates on July 23rd, picked up by the Mets, went to the International League, and now here he is.
Pitch outside. That's gaining a few games.
Oh, I talked to him yesterday, and he was so excited. I tell you, he said he couldn't be happier than any time in his life. He couldn't expect. He thought he was done. He thought he was out of baseball. The Mets had him once. They wanted to give him another try.
Got pitched to him, slapped down the left field line into the crowd, and it'll be 1 ball and 2 strikes. Scott has struck out 3 of the last 5 hitters he faced, and that was Hernandez, Carter, and Strawberry in order. Now it's 1-2. Hung on and missed, and there's strikeout number 11. So, folks, you remember some of the great seasons that Sandy Koufax had with the Dodgers. And last year, Dwight Gooden with the Mets. It's been that kind of a year for Mike Scott here in Houston. Absolutely overpowering. Not once tonight have the Mets put 2 runners on base. He came to the Astros in a trade for an outfielder by the name of Danny Heath. Now looking out at him is Mr. Heath. First pitch, taken down low for a ball. So at the time, the Mets thought they got by far the best of it. At this moment, they're not so sure. 1 ball, no strikes. With finger, laid outside. Ashby wanted it. Didn't get it that time from Harvey. And it's 2 balls and no strikes.
Heath has the ability to get on base, a good eye, as is evidenced by the 2-0 count. He has a .385 average on-base percentage. That's good for a pinch hitter.
Slapped the ball foul on the ground, rolls over toward the Astros first base dugout here in the Dome. And now there is activity down in the Astro bullpen.
Well, they know he's thrown his heart out. 11 strikeouts. Dave Smith is down there. Danny Heath, a dead fastball hitter and a good fastball hitter with the power to hit it out of this ballpark.
It's the Heath, hit up through the middle, bid for a base hit. Reynolds can't come up with it, and Heath is on with the single. Let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network.
10 o'clock at KCCI here.
Danny Heath has had longer base hits and probably more important base hits in his career, but believe me, none was ever more satisfying than that single up the middle against the man who he was traded for. Danny Heath with the tying run is on at first base, and here is Lynn Dykstra. And the Met wives, who are seated beneath us, are starting that familiar chant, "Let's go Mets." Heath leading away with the tying run. We're in the top of the 8th. 1-0 Astros. Scott with the pitch. Slap toward right field. Great stop by Doran. Throws the first low, and he's safe. Dykstra slapping the ball toward right field. Bill Doran went diving after the ball to make the stop. He came up quickly, but Dykstra with the speed beat it out, and that is the Mets' 4th base hit.
Had he not looked to second base to make the first play and then turned to throw, he would have had him. The ball was hit sharply enough, kind of shuffled it, spun around, but a real good base running effort to down to second. And Dykstra, with his good speed, by the time he turned around, the one hop could not be handled by Davis.
So Heath is on with a ground ball single that just stayed underneath Reynolds' glove and scooted into center field. Now Dykstra makes it the first time this game that 2 Mets have been on base in 1 inning against Scott, and it was a ground ball single to the second baseman. Now here's Wally Backman. He's 0 for 3. Reached on an air. Jose Cruz had to turn and go deep to the warning track on left field the last time Backman was up. 1 out, 2 on. Here's the pitch from Scott. Hit foul, and Ashby fields it on 1 hop and throws it back to the Astro pitcher. Tying run, Danny Heap is on second base, and now they'll use a pinch hitter. Elster comes in to run for Heap. Dykstra, the runner at first. Backman, the hitter. Scott checks Elster. Here's the pitch. Stays outside and off the strike zone. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Pitches are so big right now, Brent. They've had opportunity after opportunity to score, to put runs on the board. And here you are facing a situation. That's how good the New York Mets are. They put so much pressure on you. And Dave Smith warms up that much harder in the bullpen.
1 out. Tying run at second. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed by Backman. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Keith Hernandez is due up next. This series figures to produce one moment after another like this because the pitchers on both teams are dominating. It's a 1-0 game in the 8th inning. The crowd coming to its feet in the Astrodome. Mike Scott looks in. Checks Elster leading away from second. Here's the pitch. Oh, and it's by Backman. Strikeout number 12, and it has come down to Keith Hernandez. Hernandez is 1 for 3, and Scott struck him out in the 1st and the 6th innings. Keith Hernandez's lifetime batting average is .302. Here in the Astrodome, it's .237. Dave Smith loosening up in Hal Lanier's bullpen, and so too is shortstop Dickie Thorne. Cruz moving in left field. Walling guarding the line at third base, even though Hernandez is a left-handed hitter. Here is Scott. Swung on a miss.
Hernandez earlier this year is 1 for 4. Some of the past performance hitting .377, but that was before that split-finger fastball.
Sanders backing out. Takes a deep breath. One of the best clutch hitters in baseball. Faces a premier power pitcher. It's mano-mano in the 8th inning. 2 balls, 1 strike, and 2 outs, and Hernandez backs away quickly to throw him off his rhythm. Now he steps back in. It'll be cat and mouse between these two. Ashby flashes the sign. Here's the pitch. Up high for a ball. It's a ball and a strike with the tying run on second base for the Mets.
The hitters who have had success against Gooden, Ashby, Bass, and Garner tonight, they have 5 of the 7 hits. Holds out throughout the season. Mike Scott shakes off the sign. He's afraid of Keith Hernandez.
1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch to Hernandez. Hit in the air down the left field line. Going over toward the seats, and the Astros cannot get to it. It goes out of play. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Keith Hernandez will look for the split-finger fastball and adjust to the fastball. He will hope that the fastball is in the strike zone and he can get a piece of it, but he'll look for the split finger.
It's 1 and 2. Here's the pitch. Hernandez! Keith Hernandez becomes strikeout victim number 13 as the Mets threaten. But Mike Scott strikes out Backman and Hernandez. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It can't get any better than this. The Astros lead the Mets 1-0.
That was the Honda Prelude SI on the test track, driven by a professional driver. It's a good place to learn about the Prelude SI. But a better test is your driving the Prelude SI on the road, to work, or to play. After all, while facts and figures are fine, the best way to judge a Honda Prelude SI is by the seat of your pants.
If you want a microwave, now's the time to get it. Because this week only, you can get a Sears Kenmore microwave for just $149.99. It's versatile enough to fit any kitchen, yet big enough to cook a real meal. And it's on sale just this week, so you save $50. And $5 holds any Kenmore microwave on layaway till December 15th. But this sale ends Saturday, so come in and get them while they're hot.
There's more for your life.
During our new century.
Share all the excitement of the World Series at home with a copy of the 1986 World Series program, full of facts, figures, features, and photographs that make the series come to life. Send check or money order for $6 to World Series program, P.O. Box 4686, Trenton, New Jersey, 08651. Include your proper return address. Allow 4 to 6 weeks delivery. Offer good in U.S. and Canada. U.S. funds only. Furnished by Major League Baseball.
Jesse Orozco comes on to pitch for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th inning. He will bat 8th in the order because Kevin Elster, who went in to run for Danny Heap, will stay in and play shortstop. So Elster is the shortstop, Orozco the pitcher, and here's the offense for the night. It is Glenn Davis. Orozco, the 29-year-old left-hander, who along with Roger McDowell gave the Mets a good 1-2 punch out of that bullpen. Davis with the home run off Gooden back in the 2nd inning. He's the only man to score here tonight. It's 1-0. Orozco winds. Breaking ball, call strike over the middle of the plate. Johnny, what can the Astros expect from Orozco?
Real good live fastball and a good sharp breaking ball. Through the middle of the part of the season, he lost that, but he came back very strong. He's the all-time net save leader. Very deceptive. Hides the ball well, kind of slings it at you at the last minute.
Found foul. And it's no balls and 2 strikes. So Dwight Gooden labored for 7 innings. Gave up 7 hits, but only 1 run.
That's what you kind of want. A terrible performance from Gooden, giving up 1 run.
And he was at his sharpest the last 2 innings.
It really was. Got into quite a groove.
Orozco winds, the pitch, hit on the ground to third. Knight has to hurry, comes in, throws across, and he's got him. Davis moves well for a big fella. 1 out here on the bottom of the 8th. And it's Kevin Bass, who is 2 for 3. Doubled, singled in the 7th, and stole second base.
13 strikeouts by Mike Scott, second highest of all time behind Candelaria. That tied Seaver. And tomorrow night, Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan against Bob Ojeda in Game 2, 8:07 Eastern Time. Orozco winds with 1 out. Fastball catches the outside corner, and it's strike 1. This is the first time we have seen Bass turn around and bat right-handed in this series. Those 3 times he batted against Gooden. Hits the ball in the air toward the gap in right center field. Strawberry hurrying over, and he makes the put out.
Those long strides get him a long way in a hurry. He kind of looked like he was just easy loping over there. I guess he judged it that way, but he certainly moves with great grace and great speed. As he cut that ball off in the corner, it looked like it was going to be 3 bases for back.
And here's Jose Cruz, the veteran, 1 for 3. He singled off Gooden in the 4th inning. He made a good catch in left field also off the bat of Wally Dackman. One of several superb defensive plays that we have witnessed on both sides tonight. Breaking ball slapped back into the screen for strike 1. Davey Johnson electing to go with Orozco rather than McDowell. McDowell lost 3 times. But one of the reasons why he wanted Orozco out there is standing at the plate now, the left-handed hitting Cruz. He also forced Bass to turn around. Fastball down low, a ball and a strike with 2 outs. Cruz, a dangerous number 6 hitter.
in this Astro lineup. He'll be heard from before this playoff is over. Here's the wind by Orozco. Swung on and missed. 1 ball and 2 strikes. For the second year in a row, we go to the 7-game format in the championship series, and it's 2-3-2. They play 2 here in Houston. They'll go back to Shea Stadium for 3. Met fans are very upset because the rotation was switched this year. Ordinarily, the East would have had the 4 games. Swung on a miss by Cruz. He goes down. Orozco's first strikeout victim. Jesse comes out of the Met bullpen, and he knocks the Astros down. We have come to the last chance for the New York Mets. Our score, through 8. The Astros won, the Mets nothing, and we'll be back for that 9th inning in just a moment.
The all-new Apple II computer is now on display at Team Electronics in Pierre. Come in and witness the most remarkable computer you'll ever see or hear. The new Apple II has revolutionary graphics, vivid colors, and amazing sound. Plus, it can run 10,000 Apple II software programs already available. It's at Team now. It's the newest edition of the legendary Apple II family of personal computers. You've never seen or heard anything like it. Ask Gene for a free demonstration of the all-new Apple II at Team Electronics, 402 West Sioux in Pierre.
Come on into Super Duper this week for Sure Fresh roasting hens, 5 to 7 pound average, 79 cents a pound. North Dakota U.S. number 2 red potatoes, 20-pound bag at $1.69. Sure Fresh sandwich bread, 24-ounce loaf, 59 cents. Sure Fine saltines, a pound box, 49 cents.
Go for the green, go for the green. You get much more out of green stands for.
With the coupon from the flyer and get double S&H green stamps this week at your Super Duper markets in Pierre.
We're just friends, that's what we are, helping you grow right where you are.
For 65 years, you've done business with the people at Erickson & Thorpe. It's now time for a change, but only one, the name. The same people, just a different name. Erickson & Thorpe is now called Fisher, Rounds & Associates Insurance and Real Estate.
We're just friends, won't let you down.
Coming to the 9th inning, and Houston manager Hal Lanier makes one defensive move behind his ace, Mike Scott. Dickie Thorne replaces Reynolds at shortstop. Gary Carter, Darryl Strawberry, and Mookie Wilson are the 3 Mets due up. Gary Carter, after accusing Mike Scott of throwing a scuffed-up baseball and cheating, has been fanned 3 times by Scott. He asked umpire Doug Harvey to look at the ball back in the first inning. Scott lobbed it up over his head to his catcher. Now Carter comes in. Takes strike 1. He backs out, has a couple of words with Harvey. The Mets have been battling the plate umpire. Scott, 13 strikeouts tonight.
Carter wants to get even.
Here's the pitch, and he's swung on and missed, and it's no balls and 2 strikes, and Scott has got his number. Scott is 1 strikeout shy of his career high. He did that against San Diego.
And he got beat. Carmelo Martinez pinch hit in the 9th inning and hit a 2-run homer to beat it.
The crowd in the dome on its feet. Here's the pitch. Swung on and hit on the ground to third. Walling guarding the line. Throws across, and he's out. One out. And so far, between them, Keith Hernandez and Gary Carter got the ball out of the infield only once tonight against Mike Scott. They dominated them.
Good strikeout, Brad. 3 for each of them. And here's Strawberry. He can go for the hat trick as well.
And struck him out twice, but he's very dangerous in this situation. Here's the pitch. Bounded foul toward the first base side for strike 1. If there's any hitter in this lineup that Scott has to be cautious with now, it is Darryl Strawberry. No balls, 1 strike. He's got the home run potential. Here's the pitch. Outside, missing for ball 1. Mookie Wilson and Ray Knight, if he can get a turn at bat, would be next. This is the big moment for the Mets. Scott pitched to Strawberry. Line drive toward the gap. Base hit, and nice play by Bass. It took a high hop in right field, and Strawberry lashes a single. That's the 5th hit off Scott. Tying run is at first base, and the Mets have a life with Mookie Wilson coming up.
Hard man to sure of one has to be the call of Halanier and Alan Ashby. Ball loose out on the field. Time is called as Fred Brocklander holds up his hand. Mookie Wilson.
And Smith continues to throw down in Lanier's bullpen down the right field line. Wilson 0 for 3, struck out back in the second, then he grounded out and flied out. Got checked Strawberry. Here's the pitch to Mookie. Top foul. Ashby moves over to his right to pick it up. Doug Harvey asked to see that ball. Ashby wanted to get it back in play, and Doug says it looks good enough, and he returns it to Scott.
Struck out, but has also pulled the ball twice to the first baseman and to right field. The hole being open now because Glenn Davis has to pull Darryl Strawberry on. Strawberry, a potential threat to steal.
We're in the ninth inning. One out. Here's the pitch to Wilson. Hit on the ground, but foul. And Davis will field this one. No, he will not. Goes on up against the dugout railing. Now the crowd up, waving those orange K signs again. As it goes to no balls and 2 strikes, they rise. 13 strikeouts here tonight by Scott. The only run behind him, a home run by Davis way back in the second inning. Scott at the belt. There goes Strawberry. The pitch, the throw down, and Strawberry steals second. He had a good jump on Mike Scott. Ball was outside the strike zone. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Darryl Strawberry puts the tying run on second base for the Mets. Ball, 2 strikes on Wilson. Strawberry leads away from second. Scott checked it. Pitch slapped into the crowd behind home plate. Hatcher is shallow in center field and playing Wilson a step or 2 toward the gap in left center. Cruz is also a couple of steps toward the left field line, and Denny Walling guarding that line, but shortstop Dickie Thorne, well, a step toward second base. Bass is straight away and right. Scott at the belt. Here's the pitch. Hit in the air. Ashby didn't know where the ball was. Scott tells him, but it's going to be back on the screen. Alan Ashby lost the pop foul, and his pitcher quickly alerted him to where it was, but it went back on the screen.
Only by a foot, Brent. Straight up, and of course we talked about the short distances to the screen and to the dugout. But Ashby, and that's one thing about the Dome, if you do not immediately pick it up, you have to stay with it. Unless somebody points it out, you can be looking forever up towards those lights and that sort of dingy gray, eggshell-colored ceiling.
1 ball and 2 strikes. The tying run for the Mets is on at second. We're in the top of the ninth inning. Mookie Wilson up, 1 out. Here's the pitch. Hung on, foul. Ashby couldn't hold on. The crowd sensed strikeout 14, but it was a foul tip. Ashby could not hold it. Difficult to hold something hit that hard, and Wilson had slammed it back into the catcher's net. 1-2 again, and 1 out. Now Scott's at the belt. Here's the pitch. Hit in the air into the seats, and Mookie Wilson is battling Mike Scott here in the ninth inning.
That's why they won a 108 ball game. They are battling. Ray Knight waits on deck. He is a battler. Dave Smith stands in the bullpen, arms crossed. Roger McDowell throws it still for the Mets, hoping to get in the ball game. It's the ninth inning, 1 out.
6 times Wilson has taken Scott foul. From the belt again. Here's the pitch. Ground ball toward right field. Great stop by Davis. Scott over to cover. They've got him. And Strawberry moves to first, and there's an argument with the first base umpire. Coach Robinson arguing that Scott did not step on the bag, but Lee Wire says yes, he did. And another
great play.
Tremendous defensive play. This one by Davis, and that prevented Strawberry from coming around with the tying run. He went diving towards second base. He was fully extended, had some difficulty getting the ball out of his glove. Then he made the throw. Scott was hustling over, and with his right foot, tagged the bag to retire Wilson.
That's truly right. Right by the sole on the very tip of his foot, he slid it. He missed it to begin with, but he slid it forward into the bag, and Mookie Wilson barely avoided stepping on the back of his Achilles.
It has come down to Ray Knight with 2 outs. Here's the pitch by Scott, taken down low for a ball. Strawberry with the tying run at third base here for the Mets. 2 out. We're in the top of the 9th inning. Astros lead it, and it's the first game of the National League Championship.
The NFL would ask for a replay on that. Please.
It's 1 ball and no strike. Here's the pitch. Hit foul down toward the Met dugout. Takes a high hop up over the.
Do we have a 900 number?
Knight backs out. If he gets a life, Howard Johnson will bat for Orozco.
I have a nervous stomach up here. You can imagine those managers in the dugout.
Strawberry leading away. Here's the pitch down low, and Knight quickly turns around and looks at Doug Harvey, and it goes to 2 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs. Knight, a born-again major leaguer. He was a player the Mets attempted to trade before the start of this season, and he came on like gangbusters. Now a big moment for the veteran. Here's the pitch. Outside. Full strike 2, and Knight can't believe it either. I didn't think it was close. Knight is barking at Harvey. Harvey yanks off his mask.
Ray Knight has a reason to be upset. Doug sits on the inside part of the plate. You see the ball come across, and you see it dip. Well, it looked worse the way Ashby caught it. It actually was up around the knee. But the way Ashby caught it, protecting against the pass ball, I can't blame Ray Knight for being more upset.
And it goes to 2-2, and here's the crowd. Tying run on at third. From the stretch. Here's the pitch. Oh, miss, that's it. Mike Scott strikes out 14 Mets. He shuts the New Yorkers out on 5 hits. And he gives the Astros a leg up in this National League Championship Series. The Astros win the first game, and they beat Dwight Gooden in the process. They got a superb game from their ace, Mike Scott, and they got a towering home run off the bat of Glenn Davis. The final score, the Houston Astros 1, the New York Mets 0.
Wrong headset.
Well, we are back at the Houston Astrodome, and what a thrilling way to start the National League Championship Series. 1-0, and the heroes were the first baseman, Glenn Davis, and the starting pitcher, Mike Scott. Davis hit the home run. That provided the only run in the game this afternoon, and Mike Scott did the rest. And standing by right now with us is Glenn Davis. And Glenn, congratulations on a tremendous victory tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's one that we really needed.
Glenn, tell me about your home run in the second inning. You seemed to extend. The pitch was right where you wanted it.
Well, I was looking for a fastball up, and he got one out over the plate, and just be there for a moment. I just got enough of it to get it out of there.
How about your defensive play at first base in the 9th inning? Mookie Wilson's bid for a base hit.
Well, I was making sure that if anything was hitting the hole or down that line, I was going to give it my best shot. And, I tried to dive out there as far as I could, and luckily I got that right in the tip of the glove.
Great. Thank you very much, and congratulations. And if you'll just hand that headset to the man behind you, the pitcher Mike Scott, who this evening turned in another one of his great jobs in shutting down the New York Mets. He struck out 14 men. The last one was Ray Knight. And more importantly, he cut down the middle of that New York Met batting order all night long. And Mr. Scott, congratulations. You pitched a great game here tonight in the Astrodome.
Thank you. It's good to get off to a start like that. Dwight pitched great, but we just got one more run than them tonight.
Mike, tell me about your duel with Gary Carter. Early on in the first inning, he wanted to look at the baseball. He thought maybe it had been scuffed up. He kind of lobbed it up over his head. You really dominated the Met catcher tonight.
Well, it didn't surprise me. I knew that would probably happen, but, it's their prerogative to check if they want to. They could have checked all night, and I imagine it won't be the last of it, but that's fine with me.
All right.
That's my repertoire.
Mike, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, a great job by Mike Scott as he comes through and wins the first game. The Houston Astros down the New York Mets 1-0, and let's pause for this word.
Mario Andretti, Indy 500 champion.
On the track at 210 miles an hour, if you push your luck, you could wind up pushing a wrecked car. You win not by taking risks, but by taking care.
Mario Andretti, speaking for Prestone 2 Antifreeze.
Driving on weak, neglected antifreeze can cause freeze-up and ruin a radiator. I change my antifreeze every year, and yes, I always use Prestone. I never push my luck.
Don't push your luck. Change it once a year, every year, with fresh Prestone.
Johnny Bench, you put down a little star every time there's a great defensive play. I count about 5 of them tonight, but I guess the most important was the last one that Davis turned in on Wilson's bid for a base hit.
Had trouble getting out of his glove after he dove for it, and that's very often the case because you dive and you catch it up in the web and you kind of snag it and push it down as you get up off of the carpet. He had a little trouble, made a decent throw to Mike Scott, who was covering in the right position. Mike had to shuffle that foot to catch the front edge of the back. And, of course, when you've hit the only home run, got the only run of the game, it makes you dive just a little bit harder. But that's the intensity that the Houston Astros have played with all year long, the one-run games. But it looked like Mike Scott, with 14 strikeouts on an evening, looked like he was still in jeopardy every pitch because of the Mets hitters of getting in that situation. The Mets are just unbelievable. They can come at you, and you never feel safe. And I sat up here feeling like a catcher at times, thinking about the foul tip that he didn't catch, that he wasn't able to hold on to it. He said, if I just held on to it, we would have got out of the inning. And there's so many things in 1-0 ball games. There's always those cliffhangers, and especially when it means so much.
Well, let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network.
10:33 at KCCR Fear.
It was 1-0, and tomorrow there is more heat headed in the direction of the New York Mets. Johnny and I will talk about that, but right now let's pause for this word.
Footwork. Use only as directed.
This thought for all that you do. There's something special about you. You're building this great land. The future's in your hands. We need more guys like you. You make America work. And this thought's for you. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. This thought's for you.
Johnny Bench, if you are a Met, Mike Scott strikes out 14. Now you look up game 2, and here comes the all-time strikeout king. Here comes Nolan Ryan, and you got Bob Ojeda out there. Now, what kind of a position are the Mets in here against Ryan?
Well, you certainly won't see that split-fingered fastball. They've seen enough of that for the whole series. They're going to have to see him again, though, because that's going to be the situation now that they've won a couple. Nolan Ryan, well, I've seen him the last couple of times out, the pitcher across the tube. He is throwing so good right now and so hard. He's also running a little sinker, got a curveball. And strikeout for strikeout, you would think Ryan might come back with 9 or 10 tomorrow if he can get that far. But Bob Ojeda has had good success against the Astros, and they'll be depending on him. He's their left-handed ace. They're going to give Fernandez a chance as well. Gooden pitched well enough tonight to win most ball games, giving up only 1 run. You would not have imagined it with the bases loaded jams. But Mike Scott was just unstoppable. And the home run by Davis, the difference.
We'll come back in just a moment. Back in the Astrodome, and I'm surrounded by future Hall of Famers. Johnny Bench has been with me, and his teammate, the great Joe Morgan, has now joined us. And, Joe, what was your opinion of Mike Scott here tonight?
Well, I saw Mike Scott pitch a no-hitter against the Giants a couple of weeks ago, and he was awesome that afternoon. And today, he was just as awesome. The thing that surprised me, he only uses 1 pitch, but he uses it 2 ways. He only throws a fastball, the riding fastball, which rises a little bit or stays on the same plane, and the sinking fastball, or sometimes referred to as a split finger fastball. But really, using those two pitches really surprised me that he was able to get away with it so long the last half of the season. But he's so overpowering, I guess, with those two pitches that it's just unbelievable.
So what about umpire Doug Harvey? There was some barking going on down there tonight.
Well, I have to say, Doug is a veteran umpire and, one of the better umpires in the National League. But I thought
leads up to what, too?
John, I thought
the biggest umpire in the world sitting right over there. He knew the strike zone.
I thought a couple of key pitches tonight Doug might have given to Mike Scott. Actually, the 2-1 pitch to Ray Knight in the ninth inning, I actually thought it was a ball. But as John said, Alan Ashby caught the pitch so poorly that maybe that's what influenced my opinion. But I really thought it was a ball and it should have been 3-1 instead of 2-2.
Joe, what do you think about the series now? Do the Mets have a big upper hand?
Well, they can't have an upper hand.
The Astros. Yeah.
I think tomorrow's game, first game is always the most important as far as I'm concerned. Now, tomorrow will be very important for the Astros. If they can leave here 2-0, obviously they're in the driver's seat. But if they lose tomorrow, then the Mets are in the driver's seat because they've got the split that they wanted here. Now they get to go home to New York where they're invincible. So I think tomorrow's game is very key.
How about Ojeda against Ryan? How do you see it?
Well, I think Ojeda has an advantage here because they haven't seen very much of him, and it changes the Houston lineup a little bit. And he is an excellent pitcher. He moves the ball around real well. I really like Ojeda. And, of course, Nolan Ryan can be just like Mike Scott, so you never know what's going to happen.
I keep saying you should be a manager. When are you going to do that for me?
Whenever Johnny Bench becomes a manager, I'm going to manage against him.
So, thanks for dropping by.
My pleasure.
All right, let's pause for this word.
Haven't you had it up to here with sugar-free this, sugar substitute that? You can't fake the real thing, and the real thing is real sugar. Sugar's pure, sugar's natural. And in case you forgot, sugar has only 16 calories a teaspoon. Only 16. Come on, who needs artificial ingredients when you can have real sugar? Pure, sure, 16-calorie sugar. Some things just can't be improved.
Sponsored by the Sugar Association, Incorporated. Look to our World Perks Frequent Flyer program. After just 20,000 miles, you get a free round trip anywhere we fly in the continental U.S. or Alaska. And World Perks members can upgrade to first class on domestic flights for as little as $15. For faster free trips, look to Northwest.
The stuff to take it. You got the will to make it. You are the fire. Keep reaching higher. You take the earth and take it. You make America work. And this was for you.
And my voice, St. Louis, Missouri.
This was for you.
No other long-distance phone company offers you as much as AT&T. Like clear, long-distance connections and calls that go right through.
You just have to pick up the phone to know that.
Only AT&T gives you full-service long-distance operators nationwide and sales representatives, not to mention worldwide calling.
How else could I call my brother in Zurich?
So think of all the services you get from AT&T.
That's 5 right there.
For over 100 years, when you reached out, we were there. And you can keep it that way. AT&T, the right choice. Well, there you have it. Game 1 of our National League Championship Series is over. Houston won, New York nothing, and the offense, well, it happened this way. Well, Davis likes the ball out over the plate. He likes to extend those arms, and if there is such a thing as a book on him, it's jam him tight with the fastball. Hit high and deep to center field. Dykstra going way back. Hooks out of here. And it held up. And tonight's game on the CBS Radio Network has been sponsored by Businessland, by Honda, makers of the Accord 4-door sedans, by your local Arby's restaurant, an official sponsor of Major League Baseball, by True Value Hardware stores, by the State Farm Insurance Companies, by Buick and your Buick dealer, and by AT&T. Our engineer tonight was Frank Hicks. Our producer, Bill Severa. Our executive producer, Frank Miller. Our statistician, Jimmy Tubbs. Be sure to join us for game number 2 of this series right here in the Dome tomorrow night. Our broadcast will get underway at 8:07 p.m. Eastern Time. Once again, our final score, the Astros won, the Mets nothing. And now for Johnny Bench, I'm Brent Musburger saying so long for CBS Radio Sports.
10:40.